late, but that's okay. These things happen. All right, I'm just going to. It says we're live now.
Great, yeah, it says live.
I'm just going to check what's happening on the other page to check that it's all working okay. All right, live now. Let's click on that and see what it looks like. Oh, it doesn't look terrible.
Nice.
That's a first. Well, everyone else always looks good, but I always look terrible for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I know why. It's terrible Australian internet.
Ah.
All right. Cool. All right. We have a couple of people viewing us. Let's start this thing. Hello and welcome to Pieces of Work. I'm Corey. Today I have Eric, Asian movie enthusiast. Say hello, Eric.
Hello.
And Jason from Asian Filmist.
Hey, guys.
Today, we are going to do the top 20 South Korean films from 2000 to 2009. Eric and I collaborated on the 2010 to 2017 video. So now we've brought in Jason for this one because this is the big one. This is like the golden age South Korean cinema. So what we usually do is we have 5 honorable mentions and then we get into the list. So the way we'll do this, Eric, you can go first this time, and then Jason, and then myself. That's okay?
Sure.
Sounds good.
All right. So Eric, your first honorable mention.
I'm going with Barking Dogs Never Bite from 2000. It is a comedy drama from Joon-ho Bong. And you got Duna Bae as the lead actress in this one. This is one about a guy who attempts to rid his apartment complex of pesky dogs while the girl is trying to find a missing puppy. And, you know, the cool thing about this, like in a lot of this director's films, is that there's a lot of genre bending here. You get some drama, you get some comedy, some thriller. And I think this one, he really is able to like blend those together really well. This is actually one of my favorite films from this particular director. I kind of had no idea where the story was going until it got there, and I like that sense of kind of unpredictability. So I definitely highly recommend this, and I think it's one of Bong's most underappreciated films.
Jason, is this on your list anywhere?
It is not on my list.
Okay,
but I have seen it. I did enjoy it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I actually liked it.
Yeah, when I first watched it, it was a bit odd. I thought, yeah. And I think you really need to either have lived in Korea or maybe be Korean to fully understand a lot of the jokes. But I think after repeated viewings, I like it. I don't think it's his best film, but it's definitely one worth watching. Okay, Jason, your turn.
All right. So my first couple of picks are going to be pretty kooky, pretty funny. So my first one is Please Teach Me English. And it's a 2003, I guess how you said, like romantic comedy or comedy movie. And it's basically about like the Korean Hagwon or academy system and how people are trying to learn English. It's like a huge business here to learn English. And there's this one girl. The story starts off like this one girl who's a government office worker. She has to go to English evening classes because her English is not really good to communicate with foreigners. And as she goes to this, academy, she meets a whole bunch of other kooky characters that are also trying to learn English. Everyone's English is terrible except the Australian teacher who's like teaching them, obviously, right? Yeah, Australia. And you find a whole bunch of quirky experiences and how they're learning English and how like the best ways to study. And it's pretty silly and funny because there's like a playboy in the class and he's like trying to hit on all the girls, right? And then there's like an older man that's just trying to learn English as best he can. And then, a whole bunch of a wide array of characters in that movie. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a silly movie.
I have not seen that one. I probably should. I can probably tell you guys some stories about teaching English internationally. I I've got some killer stories, but that's for another day. Eric, your thoughts on this one?
I saw it a while back, but I remember liking it. I remember it kind of surprised me a little bit because I don't know if I saw the poster or the DVD cover art or something. It looked pretty silly, but I did find it to be pretty funny and entertaining. So I don't mind you including it on your list.
All right. Yes. Yes. Please teach me English.
Okay, my first honorable mention is from 2009. It's a film called Missing. There's going to be a lot of thrillers on my list because I like South Korean thrillers, and this is the era of South Korean thriller cinema. Missing is very loosely based on a true story about this. I think he was about 70 years old, this guy that killed some girls. Yeah, Missing is very loosely based on that. So the film is about this girl that goes missing, obviously, and her sister goes to look for her in this really small town. And what I liked about it was the fact that it did a few things that came out of left field. There are a few twists in the film that I didn't expect. I recommend Missing. It's a different, well, some people might think it's a bit generic, but trust me, when you watch it, there are parts of it that will shock you. Thoughts on Missing, guys? Have you seen it?
I have. It's without giving much of the plot either, I do agree with you too, and that it's a really good how do you say, like, thriller, right? And I think my list is going to have a lot of thrillers too, Corey. So, but yeah, I did enjoy Missing. I couldn't fit it on my list. It was just it's just such a hard list to like cram all the good movies in there. But yeah, I do recommend the movie too. I did enjoy it.
Eric?
Yes. The first time I saw this one, I thought it was just kind of okay, but I rewatched it a few years ago and I liked it more after a second viewing. The lead actor in this is quite good, I thought. And one of the actresses I thought was actually really quite attractive. But on top of that,
nice.
There's a few surprising moments that I won't spoil. There's one near the middle that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. It was just a good thriller with some good interaction and a good lead performance.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one that more people should watch, that's for sure. All right, Eric, back to you.
All right. I'm going with The King and the Clown from 2005. Ooh. This is a drama. It's actually directed by Joon-ik Lee, who also directed Hope and Dong-ju, The Portrait of a Poet.
Yep.
Both fantastic films.
Yep.
Yeah,
Agreed.
This one is set in the 15th century, and it's about a performance troupe who's challenged to make their king laugh in order to save their own lives. So it's a pretty interesting premise. Performances are great. The stories, you have like this constant aura of danger, because even if they screw something up, it could be, they could be done for. And there's also an element that the stage performances, you almost have to think about who they're criticizing, because even though these are supposed to be like funny stage performances and the plays, they're actually, there's some pretty scathing criticism with regard to these plays that they're running. So there's a lot of interesting elements to this, and I definitely recommend The King and the Clown.
You're nodding your head, Jason. Thoughts?
It's on my list. It's actually made my top 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it later. But I do agree with everything Eric says. Really cool Joseon Dynasty. How would you call it, like drama or like comedic skit genre? Yeah, it's really good.
Cool. And your next one?
My next one is Save the Green Planet, which, oh my God, I really wish this actually made my top 20. This was like a really hard one to like kick out. The reason why I like this is it has a lot of like genres, such as like, horror, sci-fi, thriller, comedy. And the story, if you think about it, it's just silly. It's about a guy that's paranoid that aliens from Andromeda are about to attack the Earth. Like, if you really just want to break down the movie, right? So this guy's paranoid, and he's like, okay, who's the real alien in this world? And he does like this witch hunt. It's kind of comedic though, to find out like the aliens plot. But everyone thinks he's crazy, of course, because aliens attacking Earth, right? So I really enjoyed this movie. I liked Save the Green Planet. Just kind of bummed out it could make the top 20.
Right. It's in my top 20.
Oh man, such a good movie.
What about you, Eric? Is it in yours?
No, but it was very hard to exclude it.
Yeah, okay.
The one I remember one moment from this that I won't spoil, but it's like the greatest BS story that anyone has ever come up with in any movie. It's just, I was almost on the floor during that scene. I'm like, this guy's just rolling with it. So yeah, anybody who hasn't seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it.
Okay, my next one is called Possessed. It's also known as Living Death. After I saw The Wailing, I went out of my way to try and find films that had a similar theme to them. I think Possessed, or Living Death, whatever you want to call it, has a very similar theme. It involves, obviously possession, teenage girl, and what the family goes through. And it looks at kind of traditional, like the shamanism stuff slightly as well. So if you liked The Wailing, this isn't anywhere near as good as The Wailing, but it's definitely worth checking out. Eric, your thoughts on, have you seen Living Death, Possessed?
Yes, it is a very good movie. Trying to think, I rewatched it a few years ago. I think I actually have it in my collection. It has a very good, I guess, overall quality to it. It has, in terms of the creepiness, it kind of infuses it and it builds it throughout. There's a few weird scenes in there. It has kind of an interesting premise to it. And if I'm not, I might be wrong, but I think the man is in that movie.
The man is in the movie.
Yes. I thought we would go the whole video without mentioning Sung Ryong Ryu or whatever there. So it's nice to see him make an appearance tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one.
He's in this list. Jason, have you seen this movie?
No, I'm looking it up right now. Like I'm actually reading it on Naver blog right now because I was like, Possessed, right? Living Death. I'm like,
yeah, it has like three different names or something. It's one of those movies that everywhere it's been. It's also called Distrust Hell, apparently, according to Wikipedia. I think everywhere it was released under a different title.
Right,
I don't know why, but
okay, I'll have to. I'm actually gonna have to write this down.
Yeah,
I have to see this movie. So it's called like Living Death.
Yeah, or Possessed.
Possessed.
Yeah, but Seong Ryong Ryu, if that's how you pronounce it correctly, he's in this. And Eric and I, when we did this last time, he was in like every second movie.
Possessed. Right. Okay, I have to check that out.
Cool. All right, Eric, back to you.
All right, I got another odd one here. Welcome to Dongmakgol from 2005.
Ooh, okay.
It's the war drama comedy. And it stars Jae Young Jung from Castaway on the Moon, Ha Kyung Shin from Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and Hee Jung Kang from Old Boys. This is a very good cast. It's about these soldiers who are scattered into the mountains during the war. I think this was the Korean War. And soldiers from the north and the south end up converging on this little village of people who don't know that even a war is going on. So the premise kind of emphasizes the coexistence of the North and South within this little, I guess, village environment. But the odd thing is that the tone is very light throughout much of the film. There's a lot of comedy in this and some wacky moments. So you kind of have an odd mix, but I thought it was very well done. And yeah, welcome to Dongmakgol.
I haven't seen it. I've had plenty of people recommend it to me, but I have not seen it. Jason?
It's on my list. It made the top 20. That movie's great. I'll talk about it when it gets there. Yeah.
No worries. All right. Your next honorable mention.
All right. Another cheesy movie. Get ready for it. My Little Bride. I know this is kind of a really cheesy, like, how do I say, romantic comedy? Because My Sassy Girl was considered here in Korea, like, probably the de facto #1 romantic comedy movie. So people were looking for another one. And when I saw My Little Bride, like I knew, like I was like, man, this movie, it won't make my top 20, of course, but it has a special place, right, for me. I'm like, oh, this is like a silly romantic comedy. And basically it stars this like older 20-something-year-old guy, right? And I think it's his teacher, right? And a 17-year-old girl, right? So it looks like it's really like taboo already, you know, and they get married because of I believe like their grandfather's wishes for one of them to get married to the other, right? And there's just a lot of like comedic elements that happen during the movie. And I thought it was just really just innocent love, and kind of cheesy at the same time because the girl is like in high school, but the guy's kind of grown up, and it has that Korean comedy slapstick to it.
Okay. Should another title be called? Should it be called Jailbait?
Yeah, it should. I was like, wait a minute.
Eric, I haven't seen this film, so
Is that the one with Young Moon?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I remember that one being actually very, very humorous and enjoyable. Saw it a while back, so the details escape me a little bit, but I remember it being a good flick.
Cool. All right, my next one is another thriller. Sorry to hit you guys with so many thrillers, but
yeah, it's cool.
You can't get around it during this era of Korean cinema because there are so many good ones. The next one is 7 Days.
7 Days.
7 Days, starring the lady from Lost. Remember Lost?
Oh, Kim Yoon-jin.
Yeah. Remember that show that started off really well and then went to So yeah, Kim Yoon-jin is in this film. She stars as a mother whose daughter is taken. She's also a lawyer, and she's got to defend this murderer and try and get him off within 7 days. Otherwise, her daughter will be killed. So it's really intense. It has the what's the guy's name? The guy that was in Memories of Murder. The one that I'll have to look it up.
Let me look it up too.
The second actor.
Yeah, Hee-soon Park.
Hee-soon Park. Park Sin. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, he's not. No, not him. Sorry. No? Or am I thinking of a different movie? I'm thinking of a different film. Sorry. Hee-soon Park is one of those guys that's in everything else. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of a different movie. I'm thinking of Hansel and Gretel. I've got that on the list somewhere as well. And I just recently watched The Showdown with him in it. So, yeah, but 7 Days. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good thriller. It's not worthy of a top 20 spot, but it's definitely worth checking out. Have you? I'm guessing by your reaction, Jason, you haven't seen it.
I have. I'm looking it up right now on Naver. if you see my head go like this way, I'm either looking at notes or I haven't seen it. So I have not seen this.
Okay.
Was Eric, that the same? Was that the same actor who was in Montage?
Yeah, that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Sang Kyung Kim.
That's him, but he's not in this. I was thinking. Sorry, I was thinking of a different film.
I did see this one a while back, and I remember it being very fast-paced. The thrills kept coming, and I thought the twists were actually pretty sweet in this one too. That lead actress, the first time I saw her was in Shiri, which I do kind of like actually, despite everybody else kind of not liking that one. But yeah, I remember.
That's great.
7 Days is a good one.
Cool. All right, your next one.
All right, I got a movie. It's a romance from 2007 called Happiness. It's directed by Joon-ho, who did The Last Princess and a few other flicks in the back in the day. It stars Soo-young Lim from All About My Wife and I'm a Cyborg, But That's Okay. And Jung-min Hwang is in this too. So this is about two people who go to a wellness clinic for various ailments, and they fall in love with each other. But then when they get out of the wellness clinic, things may or may not be going too well for them. So like the first section of this movie sets itself up as a typical romance, but the second half kind of subverts expectations a little bit. And I really liked how this film developed the relationship in a very realistic way. And it hits your emotions pretty good, but it's like mixed emotions, which is kind of hard to explain. So I like this one. It has different complexities and nuances to it. Happiness.
Okay, the only Happiness I know is the one with Dylan Baker. I don't know if do you want to? He makes the sandwich. I don't know if it'll be any good in the morning.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. did
he freeze?
Yeah, like I was like laughing, and I was like, wait a minute.
I'm like, was I supposed to say something?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I actually saw the movie too. I thought it was really cool because.
Yeah.
Oh, Corey, you're
Sorry.
back.
You guys cut out for a sec there.
Oh no.
we were talking to each other for a while.
Yeah. We're like, oh no. Yeah, so I've seen the movie too. I don't remember too much of it because it's been a while, but I do remember it did have like these shifting themes, right? And it wasn't like a typical, how do I want to say, like a romantic movie, Korean movie, I guess. And I did like what Eric said, it had 2 acts, and I actually enjoyed it a lot too.
Cool. Now your next pick.
All right, let's see. My next pick is, I think you said you had this movie on your list, Hansel and Gretel, right? It's a 2007 horror movie, and it has this interesting take on the fairy tale. And I believe this guy like is driving one day, and then is he driving, or like he gets stuck like in the Hansel and Gretel town, like he just wakes up, right?
Yeah, he has. I think his car breaks down, and then he wanders off into the forest. He follows this young girl, and then he,
Yeah, and I do remember like the cinematography, like when I was watching the movie, was really good. Like that's the first thing that got to me. I was like, whoa, this is really good. And I just like the twist. And I wish I kind of found, like, if this was a top 25 list, I probably would have found my way. The movie would have found my way on my list, but it's a good watch, especially for horror movie fanatics. Has a definite twist. It wasn't as scary as it was for me creepy, but it had a lot of originality when it came to the twist on the fairy tale.
Yeah. I'll talk about it later because it's in my top 20, Eric. Hansel and Gretel.
It's not on my list, but it definitely deserves to be. I really enjoy that one. Set designs are fantastic in that one too. And yeah, I like the everything you said, I basically agree with on that. Very good flick.
Cool. My next one is a horror movie as well. It's during the time of that, the Japanese horror boom, but then Korea kind of slipped in there with Phone.
Oh, Phone,
Yeah, so Phone kind of slipped in when we had that big boom of J-horror. And I remember watching it when I was really young because I was the main audience for those movies. And I remember watching Phone, and at the time I didn't realize it was a South Korean film. I think I just assumed it was a Japanese movie, which is pretty ignorant of me, but I was probably a teenager at the time. So, yeah, Phone, I don't want to really spoil it too much, but it's definitely got that J-horror vibe to it. So if you like The Ring, Grudge, all those, then I recommend Phone. Have you guys seen Phone? I'm assuming you have.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I have as well.
Yeah, so Jason?
So Phone, I remember actually watching Phone, I believe with Ray a long time ago, because we were on that, like you said, like J-horror like search, right? And then we found all these like movies. I think another one was Dead Friend too. But we stumbled upon Phone. I thought it was like Chinese at first or something. I'm like, oh, it's a Chinese movie. I'm like, wait a minute, it's Korean. And then this is before I knew Korean. I spoke the language, and it wasn't too bad. It had like its own quirks, like you said, Corey. It definitely had the J horror feel to it, right? And I did enjoy it for what it was, a horror movie. It wasn't the scariest movie, of course, but I did like it, and it showed that like alongside with like Whispering Corridors and the other like K horror movies, that K horror was like there to stay.
Yeah, cool. Eric, your thoughts on Phone?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this one. Not on my list, but I really enjoyed it. I remember when I saw it at like a Blockbuster Video, and I rolled my eyes. I'm like, Phone? Really? Phone? And then I watched it. I'm like, wow, this was actually really good. Ji-won Ha played a really spunky character in that one too, which I really liked. And the whole second half, I think, has a really almost deceptively interesting story to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
That's true.
It does the whole possession thing as well to a degree. And it's really one of those films I don't want to say much about because I might spoil something and I don't want to. Okay, Eric, this is the last honorable mention.
This might be a curveball. I'm putting Sympathy for Lady Vengeance here from 2005.
Okay.
Of course, a Chan Wook Park film. Young A. Lee was the lead actress, and she's outstanding in this one. So obviously, this lady's released from jail, and the general gist is that she begins her plan for vengeance against one particular person. This film was really, I found it to be like the most artsy of this particular trilogy of films. Very stylishly shot. I liked how it shifted back and forth in time, and the edits and scene transitions were like seamless and really like unique, but it was still very easy to follow. So I really enjoyed this one. Again, great lead performance. It kind of meanders a little bit at times, which I think some people might have a problem with, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Great. Yeah. Jason.
I agree with what Eric said. It's a really solid film. I actually liked it. I had a hard time. It's not on my top 20, but I had a hard time keeping it off the list. The other two are on my list. And yeah, it's just a solid film. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I like Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. I think it's the weakest one in the trilogy. Yeah. Well, I'm the same as you, Jason. It didn't make my honorable mentions or my top 20 list. I think when you compare it to the other two films, it just doesn't even come close. All right, so your last honorable mention.
All right, my last one is I guess you'd call it a coming of age story called Take Care of My Cat. It's about 5 women that, go through high school, graduate, and then go off to the real world. And I believe it's in, let me check my notes, Incheon, I believe. Yeah, it takes place in Incheon. And yeah, it just goes over like how they all live life after that. And I think it's really cool because I know especially in the 2000s, Korea got a lot of those coming of age stories. And I do like that genre a lot because I don't feel they're doing it a lot these days, like past 2010. So it really resonated with me. Take care of my cat. Like, how are you going to live after high school? Like you're in the real world. And yeah, they did a really good job.
Why do you think there were so many coming of age films at that time?
Now that I think about it, I think just people wanted to look back to the past or just wanted to look back like, hey, I see it now, like when I used to teach like here in Korea, like, teach in school here in Korea, like I think people want to go back to that high school age, where the only worry is studying and getting good grades, which is a worry in itself. But when you get into the adult world, it's a lot of stress here. There's a lot of they have this thing called like kwarosa, which is like death by overwork here. And it's just, it's stressful. It's like real life isn't as fun as they say, but back in high school and maybe even university, it's more of an innocent time. So people are trying to go back to that coming of age, like past.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, have you seen this movie?
Yes. Very good. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I remember it being a nice realistic depiction of friendship. And I remember one of the characters was kind of a wench too, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But and Joon-ho was in there, right?
Yeah, Bae-duna, Bae-duna was in
there. Yeah. So yeah, that was a very good one.
Cool. All right, my next one is a really silly movie, and it's not D-War. I know. I thought about it. Yeah. I thought about putting Dragon Wars on this list, but no. The next best thing, though, is a creature feature from, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, 2009.
2009?
It has 2 different names. It's called Chore or Chores.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's a South Korean mix of Jaws and Razorback, the Australian film. So if you guys have seen Razorback, or if you haven't seen Razorback, it's a classic Australian horror film or Ozploitation movie, as we call them. And it's about this giant pig in the outback killing people, just like Jaws. And Chore is the Korean version of that, basically, with more comedy. So this is it has really dark comedic moments. And I was impressed with how they did the pig, because there are a few South Korean movies that have the monsters and things, and sometimes the special effects aren't that great, but Chore still holds up in some parts. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just a B grade fun horror movie. Thoughts on Shore? Have you seen it, Jason?
I have not. I'm looking it up right now.
It's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong.
It's right now. Like, oh, I gotta see this now.
All right, Eric.
Oh god.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one quite a bit, actually.
It's fun, right?
I got confused because in America they released it as Chaws, and I thought it was a sequel to Chaw. And then I was like, why are they adding the Z? I'm like, oh, Jaws. And then I finally got it. But yeah, this was a very it has some nice humor to it, and some of the suspense sequences, like the finale, are actually pretty good. And then the credits. Anybody who hasn't seen it, watch the end credits, and there's a nice reference to an old school American flick from the 80s there.
Yeah.
And then and one of my favorite actresses, Yumi Jung, is also in this. So yeah, I recommend it.
It's a lot of fun. Trust me. You won't hate me for watching it. Trust me. All right, that's it. Let's get into the top 20. So this is the official list, guys. If you're watching, I've just replied in the comments. Some people are asking about the lists. I'll get you guys to email me your lists when you're done, and I will put it in the description once we've finished the video. Okay, so let's start with Eric. Your number 20 for the top 20 South Korean films from 2000 to 2009.
All right, this one is a kind of a special place in my heart here. It's called Lump of Sugar from 2006. It's a drama. It's directed by Hwan Kyung Lee, who also did Miracle in Cell Number 7. And it stars Soo Young Lim, who we just covered in Happiness here a few selections ago. And this is about an inexperienced jockey who goes into horse racing. And so this, the basic premise is she gets into the horse racing, I guess, profession. She's not doing particularly well, but she's eventually reunited with her childhood horse. And I found that the way this film kind of portrayed the horse and the girl's relationship was really endearing. There's some pretty good horse racing scenes, and it kind of hit me emotionally rather unexpectedly too. So anybody who enjoys horses or that type of thing should probably check this one out. I really enjoyed it.
I have not heard of this movie.
I have not either. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. I knew you would do this, Eric.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Lump of sugar.
You don't have to say sorry. That's the beauty of it. That's
this is good. No, this is good.
You always pull out those ones that nobody's heard of. It's great.
You have to understand. I'm kind of in love with Im Soo Young, so we call her Soo Young Lim in the United States. But yeah, so I've watched everything she's in.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Jason. Number 20.
I just wrote down Lump of Sugar. Hold on real quick. That's the movie, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, here we go, Corey. I think this is the one that you know, Il Mare. I guess the American movie is called The Lake House, right? And it's a romantic film, and it's basically about a man and woman who, it's kind of hard to explain without revealing the story, but they live kind of in the same house, but they can't see each other. So like they can only talk to each other using this mailbox and letters. Right. And they find out that like, through these letters, like how they're feeling, how they're doing. And then one day they find out through these letters, like how their lives actually interweave with each other and how it's kind of like how they intersect and how they're related to each other in that sense. And like I said earlier, this movie has an American remake called The Lake House. I believe it came out in 2006 with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. Yeah. I actually like that one as well. This movie is also has Jeon Jeon, and it's one of her breakout movies before My Sassy Girl. A really solid movie.
Cool. Eric, your thoughts on this one?
I thought it was good. I saw it a while back. I think anything with the Jun Ji-hyun in it is, she's good in most of the stuff she's in. Actually, a similar movie that I prefer to this is actually Ditto, which is another kind of time type romance drama. But I did like this one too. So yeah.
Okay. So is the American one, is that the real Speed 2?
I have not seen that one. I just avoided it.
Has Has somebody like done one of those internet theories that that's the real sequel to Speed?
I get what you're saying. I was laughing. No, when I first saw him, like, wait a minute, again, right?
Okay, my number 20 is a horror film. It's called Cinderella. Talking about movies that have similar themes to fairy tales. This has nothing to do with this traditional Cinderella story. It's actually a really interesting film that looks at South Korea's obsession with plastic surgery. And the way it looks at it is very interesting. I highly recommend Cinderella if you haven't seen it. A lot of people might, at face value, you might look at this and say, oh, it's just a crappy horror movie. But if you look a little bit under the surface, you can see it's really looking at the whole beauty industry in South Korea and how South Koreans are completely obsessed with plastic surgery. And I really like Cinderella. When I first saw it, I was really blown away by it, to be honest. Cinderella. Eric?
I liked it. There were a few bloody scenes in it too, which I liked. So it comes, it's good in the horror aspect. It's interesting thematically, and it's good overall quality film. And I also have a film about plastic surgery higher on my list, but it's a different film.
Cool. Jason, have you seen this one?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though. I just looked it up right now.
Okay.
I can add though that plastic surgery here is crazy. Like I remember asking a girl here, and she said that 75% of Korean women here eventually get surgery.
Yep.
That's insane. I mean, like, I believe it, but then when you have like social commentary movies, maybe like Cinderella, which I haven't seen, it just adds to the fact that it happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's the plastic surgery capital of the world.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it's a bit scary. But yeah, this movie really looks at that whole obsession with it. And I liked it for that. All right, Eric, number 19.
Got to have some romantic comedies on my list. So here's one. It's called Crush and Blush from 2008, starring Hyojin Kong. This is about like an oddball female teacher and her schoolgirl, one of the students. They scheme together to take down this girl's father's potential mistress. So it's kind of it seems kind of like a silly premise, but this is actually kind of a surprisingly intelligent, I would say emotionally bitter film too. It's got kind of an awkward sense of humor to it. It's quirky. It's just a little bit different for a rom-com, I thought. And the ending I actually really liked a lot too. So, Crush and Blush, it's a good introduction to Hyojin Kong, and I definitely recommend it.
I haven't seen it. And just an FYI, I have no romantic comedies on my list, guys.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. I have a couple of movies that could be considered romance movies, or they have elements of that, but definitely no romantic comedies. It's not my area. You guys are better at that.
I have a couple.
Have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember the ending. That's what got to me the most. And it did have this like I don't want to say hodgepodge, but I guess it's a better word. Of the different emotions tugging at you. Like, so it was kind of a interesting rom-com. It was definitely unique from what I remember. But I'm kind of ashamed I didn't think about putting this movie on my top 20. Like, it is actually pretty good.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's underrated, I would say.
Okay, and your number 19?
Yeah. My number 19 is The Host. And I know this movie's probably, I don't know, do you guys have it ranked in your lists?
Yeah, it's in my top 10.
Yeah, this movie, actually, I do like this movie a lot. I'll just go, since it's on your list as well, I'll just briefly go over the plot. Basically, this American scientist mixes some chemicals in the lab and says, hey, let's dump it into Han River. Mutates a fish or something into like a crazy, mutated, I don't even know what you call it, right? Monster. And this poor family, the Park family, is like, oh, they see this monster, and they've all lost people to this monster, and they have to save this woman. They think she's dead because she gets swallowed up or something, but she's actually alive. So you have this family, like one of the girls, I believe, is an archer, and they're trying to basically they're just trying to fight this monster. to save that woman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without I'm trying not to spoil any of it, right? Being very vague, but this is regarded as, I think, the best sci-fi movie, like until Train to Busan in Korea, like, and it's still probably regarded as the best sci-fi movie. I kind of wish I pushed it up higher, but
I think like thematically and its social commentary, it's much better than Train to Busan.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. Like, this movie was really good. Parts of me, like, I look at my list now, I wish I pushed this higher, but at the same time, I'm glad at least I got it in my top 20.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, those who are watching at home, you guys should try and make your top 20 lists and just see how hard it is.
It's really hard. I'm like, the host. All right, yeah.
Eric, I'm assuming the host is probably in your top 20?
It's not.
It's not?
But I really enjoyed
Explain
it.
yourself, sir. Explain yourself.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, I was looking at Joon-ho Bong's filmography, and I'm like, okay, that could be included, that could be included, that could be included, that could be included too, maybe. And then I was like, you know what? I just gotta man up and pick just one or two, and that was not the one or two that I picked.
All right.
Barking dogs never bite. Knocked it out.
All right. I think you might have a few disagreements, but that's
Corey,
all right.
I got your back, Corey.
All right. My next one is a movie I reviewed. I don't remember if it was last year or this year. Might have been last year. It's a throwback movie. It's like a throwback action movie to movies like Walter Hill's The Warriors and things like that. It's The City of Violence, which is this short, very straightforward, old school action movie, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It's just about these guys that were friends in high school. They're in this group. They find out that one of their friends has been murdered. They go to his funeral. One of them's a cop, and it's the basic thing. They team up and they go kill the bad guys, and it's great. There are actual references to the Warriors in there. Like, there's the baseball gang and all that stuff. I really like that movie. It's fun. Eric? City of Violence?
Yeah. I really enjoy that one. I passed it up a few times at the video store back in the day, and then I watched it. I'm like, wow, this is a lot of fun. The school kid scene definitely is up there, and the finale is really great too. And this director, his name escapes me, but he's pretty reliable. So anybody who wants a good action-oriented director from South Korea should check out some of this guy's other films.
Let's see.
Jason, have you seen this?
I'm looking it up right now. Violence, and writing it down as well.
Yeah, it's the director of Veteran, Battleship Island, Berlin File. He's got apparently they're making another Berlin File. And another Veteran.
I would like that.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about a Veteran 2. I don't know if that really needs a sequel. I'm guessing money talks for that one. But Berlin File, I would like to see a sequel to that. And Battleship Island's coming out in Australia, I think, this month sometime. We get it the same day as Korea, I think. Around the same day. So you haven't seen City of Violence?
I have not. Like, looking it up right now.
Okay. If you want to watch just a really basic action movie that has similar things that you've seen before but does them well, then this is definitely worth checking out.
City of Violence, all right.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, number 18.
18.
All right, I got an indie film here. It's called Daytime Drinking from 2008, and it's a comedy.
Okay.
So it's about this guy who's dumped by his girlfriend. So he wants to take his buddies on vacation and just drink themselves silly, but his buddies back out. So he just goes by himself. And I guess the theme for this movie would be like worst vacation ever, but it's played down. You know, it strips away the blockbuster elements of that type of a scenario, and it strips it down to an indie level, like a low-key, realistic scenarios that are still really funny and could happen to somebody in real life. So there was some really funny stuff in here. It's set in the wintertime, which I thought was pretty nice, and there's lots of alcohol and soju on display. So I found this one to be actually surprisingly funny, and and charming.
Cool. I haven't seen it, but it sounds great.
I haven't seen it either.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Jason.
I'm gonna go with spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring again. It's a
Nice.
Kim Ki-duk film. The movie basically starts off as a Buddhist monk and his student, and the film is divided into 5 parts based on all the seasons from the title. And basically, you pretty much see the student grow up and how he gets in trouble a lot, and the movie, without spoiling it, just basically comes full circle, like full cycle. But it's really gripping to see like the student grow up and see how his life comes back to this back to this temple at the end.
It's on my list
Really good movie
as well, but
It's
we'll
really
talk
good.
to it when we get.
Yeah.
Eric, is this on your list?
It's not. I chose a few other different Kim film as representation, but I remember really enjoying this one, and I have to add it to my DVD collection because it's missing from it. So it will be added soon.
Yeah, he's another one that I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to have too many of his films on my list, so I think I just went with one, and it's that one. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
I have, I believe, 2 on my list from him.
Okay, cool. All right, my next one is one we've already kind of spoken about. It's Hansel and Gretel. So Hansel and Gretel, like Jason was saying before, it's based on the fairy tale, but it has this gothic twist. It's beautifully shot. It looks amazing. It's got a very Pan's Labyrinth style vibe. So if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth, the Guillermo del Toro film, it's a similar vibe to that. It's that level of dark fantasy. And when I did my top 5 South Korean horror movies list, I put this at number 1. And obviously I made that list before The Wailing and before Train to Busan and a bunch of others. But I just think overall, story level, technical level, the acting in the films, everything, I think it's a fantastic horror film. I don't think it's the best South Korean horror film now. I actually think The Wailing is, but if you like dark fantasy fairy tales, then Hansel and Gretel is definitely for you. You guys have anything else you want to add for this one? Or we pretty much said all we needed to say?
Yeah. I just want to add again, the cinematography and the environment was very beautifully done in this movie. That's what I remember the most from this movie.
Cool. All right, Eric, let's go to number 17.
All right, I got a kid. Well, it's not a kid's film, but it's about children, and it's When I Turned 9 from 2004. This is a drama.
I Turned
9. And it stars. It might be Si-young Lee's debut performance, different from the Si-young Lee that I fell in love with in our other list. But it's basically a movie about small kids. I don't know if they're maybe middle school or younger, but it's about their interaction at school, the different conflicts that occur there. And what I really liked about this is how the dialogue and the kids themselves act maybe a little bit older than they actually are. So you have a certain sense of like maturity there that you usually may not see in a film like this. And the performances by all these kids is just great. It's really good stuff. And it's one of my favorite like child-centric films from this era. So I definitely highly recommend this.
Better than Okja?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie.
I have not either.
No. Again, Eric,
Eric, I'm looking up so many movies because of you.
Hopefully you like them if you watch them.
He is the Asian movie enthusiast, dude.
Yeah, he is the Asian movie enthusiast. He lives up to his name. I'm not going to lie.
He does, exactly. I'm just pieces of work because I'm a real piece of work. All right, Jason.
All right, my next one is A Bittersweet Life. Stars Lee Byung-hun, and he's like, the tough guy. He always goes in those tough guy roles, right? I think his most recent movie is Single Rider.
Yeah,
but Lee Byung-hun
was filmed here in Australia.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Oh, does it work? That's right. Yeah. The story takes place. Yeah,
set in Sydney. But the thing that really annoyed me, didn't get an Australian release.
Mm-mm. Wait, but the story takes place in Australia.
It takes place in Australia. Half the cast are Australian, half the crew are Australian. Didn't get a release here.
Blows my mind, man.
Maybe at the South Korean Film Festival this year, maybe, but yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Anyway,
yeah, I didn't know that.
It's mental.
Well, no, it totally blows my mind. Yeah, but basically, yeah, Bittersweet Life is about Lee Byung-hun's character. He works at this mob. He's a high-ranking official, and basically one day he has to trail his boss's, I think, mistress to see if she cheats. Like, don't make her cheat, right? And if the mistress cheats, kill both the mistress and the cheater, right? So one day, Lee Byung-hun's character actually does find that happening, right? But rather than, off them both, he actually lets them go for some odd reason. But then, well, since he, pardoned those two, Lee Byung-hun's character is in danger now. And that, that's the gist of the story without going, deeper.
It's on my list as well. So
yes, Corey, we got it. See,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Bittersweet Life. Eric, is it on your list,
Life.
or do you have anything you want to say?
It's a conspiracy against me. It's not on my list. But see, this was on my list. But then I'm like, Ji-woon Kim. Okay, that can make it. That can make it. That can make it. And I'm like, I gotta man up and pick a few. So I picked a few different ones.
That's all right.
But yeah, I really enjoy this one. It's got a nice. It kind of has a slow build that builds up, and then the action hits. It's really intense. I like some of the interaction, like when he goes to the Russian gun dealer. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
That's such a Tarantino scene.
So yeah, that's definitely very good stuff.
Perfect segue into my next film, The Good, the Bad, the Weird. Perfect segue. So The Good, the Bad, the Weird's this really weird Korean Western gangster hybrid movie about treasure hunters with a fantastic cast. Three of my favorite actors in this film. You've got Song Kang-ho, Lee Byung-hun, and Jung Woo-sung all together in this great movie. It's a little bit crazy, and my biggest issue with it is it just kind of goes a bit too long, I think. I think this movie's almost 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it was pretty long. Right?
And I think you could have cut half an hour out of it. But again, it's one of those movies that's really beautifully shot. There's this great train sequence where they're robbing the train. There's also these some really well done shootouts. It's not a typical Western. It's one of those movies that it's really hard to put in a box, I think, and put a label on it because it borrows from so many different genres. But The Good, the Bad, the Weird. Jason, thoughts?
I am ashamed I didn't put this in my top 20. I agree with everything you say. It had an awesome cast. It's basically the Korean version of the American movie, right? It was like how do I want to describe it? Like a cowboy spaghetti western, right?
Yeah, but it's set in like the 40s.
Yeah, right. And it had the Korean twist.
They've got motorbikes and things as well. So it's
I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have found it in my top 20. Like, it's a really good movie.
Eric?
It's higher on my list.
Hey. You're back, baby.
And I think your cat really likes it too because they popped its head up there while you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Lenny, do you like Jung Woo-sung movies? No, he's completely out of it now. No, he's asleep. Forget it. All right, Eric. Number 16.
All right. I got another one for you.
All right. Let's go.
It's called Jakarta from 2000. This is like a crime comedy.
Right.
And it's basically, it stars a variety of actors, a few of which are recognizable. It's about 3 teams of people who rob the same bank at the same day at the same time. So there's reasons for this. So, my number one Korean movie from the 2010s was Couples. And that had, the first half of the movie plays out traditionally, and then it starts replaying scenes, using different angles and showing you other stuff so it makes you reinterpret scenes that you saw previously, and Jakarta does the same thing. And it's really interesting stuff, kind of a brain teaser film. You really got to pay attention to figure out, okay, who's really working with who, where is the cash right now, is, you know what I mean, that type of stuff. And it's actually quite funny and low key, so I recommend it.
I've seen this one.
Nice.
It's great. From a technical aspect, it's a great film. I haven't seen the what was the other one you took? Was it Couples or something? I still haven't seen Couples, but I need to watch that. It's on my list. So yeah, I agree with everything you said. I like the technical aspects of this film a lot. Jason, have you seen it?
I just looked it up. I haven't seen it. Like, Eric keeps pulling out these movies. I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to have Eric on because
no, he's keeping me on my toes. I'm like,
I know.
Jason's gonna look these up and they just don't even exist.
Yeah. Like so I use Naver a lot to like look it up in Korean, right? Mm-hmm. And like the titles are sometimes different. So I'm like, how does Eric know more than like Naver, right? Like the search engine, right? So, okay, yeah, Jakarta, I'm on it. Yeah, I'll definitely have to see it.
All right, and what's your next pick?
My next pick, we are number 16, right? Number 16 is Chingu or Friend.
Oh,
Friend 1.
We
Friend
have a
1,
match,
not 2.
Sir.
Oh, we do.
Number
okay, so I'll take
Friend.
Yes. Okay, so
I'm not going to show you because then you'll see the rest of my picks.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Like basically, my big advice before I just delve in this real quick: don't see Friend 2. Oh god, I didn't like that too much. But in any case, Friend 1, the good friend, basically a story of 4 guys that grow up pretty much like, as kids, get separated during middle school, come back during high school, and then after high school, they all go their separate paths. Like the last movie I talked about, Take Care of My Cat. It's kind of like one of those coming of age stories, but this one's a lot more gritty, more grim, because some of them go to university, and some of them turn to like crime, right? So you can see their friendship kind of like deteriorating like after high school, and how a couple bad choices just made them the people they are today, and what happens at the end and whatnot. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Friend. Great movie. It's fantastic. It's a really well-made gangster film.
Yep.
Friend 2, I didn't dislike. I like some of it. I didn't really like Kim Woo-bin. I'm not the biggest fan of him. And I've said this in any movie. Every time I review a film that he's in, I always say this. I don't understand why people think he's handsome. He looks like
he's like
he looks like Lurch from the Addams Family.
I get lynched if I said that here.
It's
That's
true.
Awesome.
Whoa.
We've lost Jason.
No.
Maybe the Koreans are onto him.
Somebody heard. They thought it was him saying that.
Whoops. Did I just accidentally get Jason killed? I'm sorry. I take it back.
He's still smiling, though.
He's handsome. All right. What your thoughts on Friend?
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Just a good, solid film. I like the interaction between how they like go their separate ways and how things play out later on in the film and the dramatic impact of everything. Yeah, so that was a good one.
All right, I might just see if I can bring him back. I'm just getting it. I'll send him another invite.
Yeah.
While we're doing this, let's talk about Okja, because it's very topical at the moment.
Nice.
I think a lot of people are starting to realize that's not such a great movie.
Roll Credits threw up her official review recently.
Oh, Adele did one, did she?
And she got a lot of dislikes on it.
I think it's just for those of you who are watching this and haven't seen my other videos, I've completely changed. Well, if you watch my original review of Okja, I was kind of on the fence with it. And now I think it's his worst film after watching it a second second time. I'm just not. I just think it's a complete mess. Controversial, right? All right, I'm going to bring Jason back. Sorry about this, guys. All right, let's talk about. Let's go to number 15 for you, Eric.
All right. Yeah, this one's kind of a very unique and special film in terms of the technical aspects of it, because there's not that many films I think that have attempted or accomplished this. It's a film called Magicians from 2005. It revolves around the reunion of a rock band at like a little bar in the middle of like this woodland area, and the spirit of a deceased band member kind of watches over them. And this film is, I think it's like 96 minutes long, and it was shot in a single take from start to finish with no edits.
The entire film?
Yes, 96 minutes.
Lovely.
So I think I've seen a few other films that did this. A few films mimic it, but very few films actually do it. I think there was a Russian film called Russian Ark that did it too.
Yes, that's true.
But Magicians, I think this is like so special because it accomplishes this gimmick, but it feels very natural because it's almost set up like a stage play. You know what I mean? And it goes through, and the camera moves around to the different places in the forest, and you have the characters rolling around, and it does some, flashbacks without edits, which I always like.
He's back. Sorry.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
You okay?
All right.
No, like this is like a big typhoon here.
Oh wow!
It, knocked out my internet. Yeah.
Oh, we were saying
sorry
because
about that.
It happened at the exact same time that I said Kim Woo Bin looks like Uncle Lurch from the Addams Family. So we thought somebody might have heard that.
Oh, knocked me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim Woo Bin fan.
All right, can you guys just continue chatting? I really need to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Eric,
sure.
can you just fill Jason in on what we've been talking about?
Of course.
Thanks, dude.
All right, let's go.
All right, so we were going through my pick, and my 15, my number 15. I don't even know if it's my turn or not, but I picked a film called Magicians from 2005, and I was mentioning that there's very few films that have accomplished what this film did. It's 96 minutes long, and it was actually shot in a single take from start to finish without any edits. So
no joke. Wow.
Yeah. So it's it's about like this rock band that reunites in like the middle of a forest, and a deceased member, like the spirit of a deceased member, kind of watches over them. And so the film goes through their discussions and interactions through this 96-minute period, but it also does some flashbacks, which were pretty cool in terms of how they were executed. I found it to be just a very charming film, and it's one that's quite unique, obviously. So it's kind of a magical vibe to it too. But I recommend it definitely.
Wow, another movie I haven't seen. Especially, that's really cool though. Like that, it's a 96-minute movie that has like no edits.
Yeah.
Just whoa.
I don't know how many takes it took them to get it, but I don't know.
So if like you mess up like in a 40-minute, like in 40 minutes, you're like, oh, I got to do it all over again, guys, from start to finish.
Either that or you go with it, but it's pretty cool.
Okay. Wow. What do you call the genre? What would the genre for this movie be?
I would consider it a drama with a sprinkling of romance in it.
Magicians. All right. Let me write this down.
I think one reason why it's so natural in its presentation is because it's almost like set up like a stage play kind of too. So you don't have a ton of different locations, but it does flow through. And yeah.
I'm back.
Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome back.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
You're carrying the team, Eric, of having stable internet.
See, the funny thing, the first time I did a Google Hangout with him, my mind froze like 6 times, and I looked like totally just, I kept getting bumped out because I had a unstable internet, but I got an updated router and an updated like landline and stuff, so it's working better now.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. I'm ready to roll. Okay, so Jason, you're number 15. Yeah.
15. All right, my 15 one. 15. Now that I think about this list now, I do have a lot of like romantic movies on here, and that's not my favorite genre, to be honest, right? But let's roll with it. 15 is A Moment to Remember, and it's like I said earlier, it's a Korean love story. It has Song Ye-jin, one of my favorite actresses. I believe she's in Princess Dokhae, The Last Princess, right?
Yes.
I think that's one of her latest movies. Jung Woo-sung. And it's basically her character. She's like a 27-year-old fashion designer. She gets dumped. She's depressed. She goes into a convenience store and she bumps into a handsome guy. Oh, tropes, right? But then they hook up, with this handsome guy. But then she develops like Alzheimer's disease. So she starts forgetting stuff and she's, 27. So like they have to cope with like, okay, well, we're gonna have this relationship, but you keep forgetting like everything. So how's this going to go? Right. And I felt it really touching and it's kind of heartbreaking. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy at the end of the movie. By the time I hit the end of the movie, I'm like, wow, okay. Right. Korea, good job. Yeah.
It's on my list as well.
Whoa. You put
I know, right?
Corey, see, there you go.
Yeah, I'd said there were one or two
kind
of romantic movies on my list. That's one of them. Eric, is A Moment to Remember on your list as well?
It must not be a conspiracy because it's on mine too.
Nice.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I actually have a movie that makes Eric's list because he has like these quirky movies like Jakarta, and like he was telling me about this magician movie. I'm like, what are these movies? Right? I'm like, what are these movies?
Nice.
Yeah, Eric, he's in it to win it.
He is. All right, my pick for number 15 is Phelan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Choi Min-sik movie with the actress Cecilia Chung, and it's about this gangster who marries this Chinese woman. He never meets her, and he has to go bury her because she's dead. And it's one of those movies where both their stories are told kind of, we go back and forth. So we start from his perspective, and then in flashbacks, we see her story. It's tragic. It's a tragic movie. You could call this a romantic film, but I think it's more of a drama. And at some parts of this film are really, really dark, particularly the ending. So it's a love story about two people that never meet. And it's tragic. And I really liked it. Phelan, have you seen it? Jason?
I remember it being tragic as well. I have seen it. It did not make my list, but I can see why it made your list. I actually enjoyed it a lot.
Eric?
I may need to give this one a second chance. I saw it back in the day, and I wasn't like it didn't really do it for me for some reason. I think the performances were solid, direction was solid, but I think the opening half was maybe a little bit repetitive or something like that. It didn't grip me early, and it kind of lost me. But I bet if I watched it again, I would like it more.
It's definitely a film that you have to be in the right mood for.
Yeah.
Just because of the subject matter. You got this woman that comes over from China. I think it's tuberculosis that she has. It's never really stated in the film, or at least I can't remember. And she goes there, and she's going to meet like her aunt, and she illegally gets into South Korea. And then of course she gets there, her aunt's moved to Canada. She's like, what am I going to do? She can't speak the language. She goes into prostitution, but then the pimps discover that when she coughs, she's bringing up blood, so she can't do that. So it's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. It's one of those movies. It's definitely not a light-hearted romantic comedy about a 39-year-old teacher marrying a 17-year-old kid. But, All right. So now we're down to 14. Eric, 14.
I'm coming right back with A Moment to Remember.
Nice.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess what I would say here is that, there's a lot of these Korean movies that really try to go for the jugular in terms of getting an emotional response from the viewer. And I think this one really hits the mark better than a lot of them do, I think, because I rewatched it a few months ago and it hit me just as hard as it did back in the day. So if somebody wants something that's really high quality and really, really sticks its ending, this is one.
Guess what?
No.
It's my number 14. We have a match.
We're converging.
Well, Jason, do you mind if I just say my part about this? And then
please do. Please.
Yeah. Well, To Remember was requested so many times. So many people like, you need to watch this movie. You need to watch this movie. One of my viewers actually sent me the Blu-ray, and I watched it and I cried. Man, did I cry. Not many movies make me cry, but I'm man enough to say when they do. And this was one of them. It was the performances from both actors in this were great. They were a really believable couple. They were both, well, Son Ye-jin's character was very flawed. The reason she bumps into Jung Woo-sung is because she's having this affair with some married man who's like twice her age, and her parents don't approve. And when she starts developing the Alzheimer's stuff, it really hit me because my great-grandmother had that. And it was one of those things. I remember going to visit my great-grandmother with my grandmother when I was probably like 5 years old. And she had no idea who we were. Absolutely no idea. Even my grandmother would have to say to her, "I'm your daughter," and explain the whole thing. And then 2 minutes later, she would be back to her fantasy world, or whatever you want to call it. It's horrible, horrible thing. But for somebody to get it so young, and that actually happens, it's rare. But I think, the performances in this are really believable. And it's a touching film. And it's really emotional. Yeah. A Moment to Remember. Buy some Kleenex.
That's so true.
Okay, Jason, you're number 14.
Let's go with a more of a, I guess, art housey film movie. Paju. Paju came out in 2009. Paju is actually like a province, I don't want to say province, like area, like an hour and a half northwest of Seoul, right? So, I found it interesting. They did a movie on the city. I feel this movie is very underrated. Basically, it's about a guy that, because he has a tragic incident with a baby, he has to go into hiding, right? So he moves into this suburb named Paju. And he starts his life anew, falls in love with a new woman, but he can't really shake his past, like what happened to him earlier, but, like his past tragedies. And there's a tragedy that's going to befall him in the city of Paju itself. And I'll just keep it from there.
Okay.
Paju.
I haven't heard of this one, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Eric, have you seen this one?
Yeah, it was very entertaining. I'm trying to think, was the lead actor in that one Sun Kyung Lee? I can't remember. He might be in that one, but I remember it being a very, very good quality flick. The interaction between them was really good, and some of the details escape me though for now. But I remember it being very solid.
Yeah, Lee Sung-kyun is in there. Like he's the main,
okay.
And then So-woo is like the woman. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's go back to Eric for number 13.
Gonna get dirty. It's a dirty carnival time. 2006 crime drama. So a young gangster, a typical gangster plot. Describing the plot of this really doesn't do it justice. It takes the basic premise and it just executes it really well. Lead actor In Sung-jo is outstanding in this. Really great performance. I don't know. It's hard to explain why this movie is so great. It's just really, really solid and quality from top to bottom. I think one interesting thing is that it does that Korean thing where if you make a small mistake, it could really bite you. And that has that element to this.
It's on my list as well. So It's slightly higher up, so I'll talk about it when I get to it. Jason?
Solid movie. I agree with everything Eric says, basically.
Not on your list?
It is not on my list. I wish it was.
Okay.
Wish it was.
It's all right. All right, you're number 13.
My number 13. I think, I believe one of you mentioned it. The King and the Clown.
Yeah, that was Eric.
Eric, yeah. King and the Clown. I guess we went over it. Eric went over it earlier. Basically, same thing. Yeah, two street jesters, clowns like perform, but then because they're how did they say, like, they're having a hard time making a living, so they have to make their acts even more risque. But their risque act actually offends the king. They get arrested, and unless they make the king laugh, they're going to get executed. But then, as they gain favor within the court, they become like court jesters to the king. But then there's a lot of like political drama and like personal drama that happens, and then the two, street jesters, clowns, start, their friendship starts to like deteriorate as a result.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. My number 13 is a movie you could probably consider art house. This is from 2000, so the very beginning. The Isle from Kim Ki-duk. A movie that, when it came out, was very controversial. So the movie is about this woman that runs this fishing shop by this lake, and there are these little huts on the lake, like these floating huts, and men come from the city to fish. They just come from the city, occasionally fish, and then they have prostitutes delivered to them from the mainland. And she goes out there, and sometimes they pay her for sex. She's a mute. And there's this guy that's there, and he's this ex-con, and he's on the run. And he's trying to kill him. He tries to kill himself, and she saves him. And then he starts to become a little bit obsessed with her. And then she's completely batshit crazy as well. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie. It is an art house film. Don't get me wrong. There are some scenes that might make some people queasy involving fish hooks. Didn't make me queasy. I think I've watched enough movies now to not really be that shocked anymore. But apparently when this came out, it was one of those movies that was, oh my God, there's people throwing up in the cinema. And when you watch it now, you're probably like, That's the reaction I had. I saw this movie only recently when I got into I did a Kim Ki-duk like retrospective on maybe like five of his films, I think, because they were playing, they were streaming on a Australian channel here. So yeah, The Isle. It's definitely worth watching. Eric, your thoughts?
Yes. This is one of the first films I saw from this director. And actually, the first film I saw from him, I really disliked. And this one kind of made me more of a fan of him. I actually just added it to my DVD collection a few weeks ago, so I have to rewatch it. But yeah, very nice. I like the environment it was set in too. Very odd environment, with like they're on those little platforms there, and some queasy scenes, some scenes that could affect you. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's a very unique film. I don't think I've seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Jason?
Same thing, like what you, Eric, said. I really like the environment. The movie really struck me as a art housey, queasy film. It's if you have a weak stomach, this movie will get you. But I actually enjoyed it a lot. I like what you said earlier, Corey. It has a lot of symbolism. I like movies that make you think, like you have to watch more than once, because I usually don't get it. Like, wait, really? That means something, right? So I really enjoyed The Isle.
Yeah, the ending is something I had to watch several times because I was like, hang on. One of those things is like, I think you can interpret it in many different ways, and it's one of those things, it's up to the audience to work out their interpretation of it. Eric, I want to pick up on this. What was the movie that put you off?
Bad Guy.
No. Bad Guy.
Bad Guy.
I have not rewatched it though. This was very early on in my Asian movies. So if I rewatched it, I might like it more. But man, that movie really irritated me.
Okay.
Oh,
I haven't seen Bad Guy.
bad guy.
Very offensive.
Very
Okay.
offensive. Yeah. Risque.
All right.
I'll
Okay.
be back, guys. I have to go to the restroom real quick.
That's all right.
Right.
Okay, Eric. Well, let's go to your number 12.
Coming right back with it with my Kim Ki-duk film. I could have included I don't know, any one of 5 films on this list, but if forced to choose during this time period, my favorite might be Time from 2006. It's a romance drama. It stars Hyung Ah-sung, who starred in Cello, the horror film, and Jung Woo-ha is in this.
Right.
And so this one's really interesting premise. So you have this couple whose romantic relationship is getting increasingly stale. So this woman makes the decision to undergo plastic surgery to completely alter her face. Okay, so she completely alters her face, and then she goes back and attempts to woo her former boyfriend with this new persona. So she just disappears on this guy, and Jung Woo-ha's sitting there like, where did my girlfriend go? And this new his girlfriend comes back to him. He doesn't know it, and she's trying to rekindle their relationship with a much more beautiful face. So this is a very interesting film that, obviously tackles the whole plastic surgery thing. It's probably my favorite film with that theme. And unlike some of this director's other films, this one is very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of dialogue in this, whereas some of his other stuff, there's barely any. So, yeah, I definitely recommend this one. Very psychological.
Yeah, I think this movie's now streaming on one of the Australian streaming services, so I need to check it out. It came up on my recommendation list the other day, and I put it in my list, so I will definitely check it out and let you know my thoughts. Jason, we're talking about Time by Kim Ki-duk. Have you seen it?
I have not actually. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
Okay.
I'll definitely have to check it out as well.
What are we up to? Number 12,
Number
right?
12. Number 12.
Yeah, you're on number 12?
All right, get that another romantic movie in there. The classic. Yeah. Oh, I don't, like I said, like I look at this list again and I'm like, no, like my favorite genre isn't romantic. But then when I watch them, I'm like, all right, I'm trying to keep this, kind of fair, kind of non-biased. All right, the classic. All right, let's get with it. Son Ye-jin, again, right? She strikes back. It's basically about how do I want to say, like this girl's romance as well as her mother's past story of her romance. So the girl's like cleaning in present time, she's cleaning her, her house, and then she finds her mother's diary and she reads about it. She reads like how her mother grew up and who she fell in love with. And then she finds a lot of parallels between like her current life and her mother's past life, like 20 or so years ago. And it comes full cycle. It's a really good movie. Really touching. Really touched me.
Eric, your thoughts on the classic?
I enjoyed it. I think I don't enjoy it quite as much as some other people do. I think I'm trying to remember what kind of limits it from being up there. I've actually had some requests from my subscribers to review it, so I have to try to track it down and rewatch it. I don't know if it was maybe just the way things played out was good, but it didn't blow me away.
Yeah, I had the exact same feeling. I had quite a lot of people ask me to review that, and I reviewed it only, 3 weeks ago or something, or 4 weeks ago, and I had the same feeling that you did. Everybody was telling me, this movie's amazing, and then I watched it, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
I think it's a movie of its time as well. I'm not saying it's aged badly. I'm just saying maybe if I watched it in, what was it, like 2002 or something?
Yeah, like 2003, I think.
Yeah.
But about around, 2002.
Yeah. So maybe if I'd watched it back then and I was in the right frame of mind, but there's something about it that I didn't love either. I like the performances. I don't know. I think I liked the stuff in the past more than I did the present day stuff.
Present. Oh, yeah.
I think
that's what I hear too.
Cool. All right, my number 12 is a movie that we've spoken about already. Save the Green Planet.
Oh, good.
A really fun, crazy movie. It's got so many genres. It's like comedy, thriller, action, sci-fi. It has it all. And I usually don't like movies that mix too many genres, but this movie does it almost perfectly. I like the performances. Apparently the director got the idea of this after watching Misery, the movie based on the Stephen King book. And he saw if you don't know, the Misery is about this writer who has a car accident and he can't walk. He breaks his legs. And then he's rescued by this woman that happens to be his number one fan, and she keeps him there and imprisons him in her house. And this has a similar vibe. So you've got this crazy guy that thinks aliens are going to invade Earth. There's this CEO of this very big corporation that he kidnaps, keeps in his little lair that he has. And it's basically about the relationship. And you don't really know who's really crazy because most characters in this movie are batshit insane. It's a lot of fun. Jason, you've already spoken about it. Eric?
Yes, I very much enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I did mention some thoughts there. I mentioned that it was the best BS story of all time.
And it's not on your list, right?
No, it could. I looked at it like 5 times, on the list, and I'm like, I just didn't decide to put it on.
This is one of those movies that I had on my list, and when I was changing it, it kept going up and down. Yeah, I finally settled at number 12, but at one stage it was at 14, one stage it was at 17. It was all over the place, but yeah, and the Green Planet. A lot of. All right, number 11 before we get to our top 10. Eric.
Got another film about children for you. A Brand New Life from 2009. This was Se-ron Kim's debut performance, and she knocked it out of the park. Ah Sung-ko is also in this, isn't it, a supporting role? So a girl at the very beginning of the film gets abandoned at an orphanage, first seen in the film. And she's about 8 years old, I think, and she just has to cope with this transitional period at this orphanage. And, the main characters here, I think the one thing about this movie is that there's not a whole lot of time spent with the adults. This is all like from the kids' perspective, which is great. As I said, lead performance was outstanding. It has a few lighter moments in it, but mostly this is pretty serious stuff. And it's I highly recommend it.
This is one of those movies that I haven't seen. I know I should, and many people have asked me to watch it. And I almost bought it on DVD when I was in Taiwan. Well, when I was last in Taiwan, and I didn't buy it for some reason. Now I wish I did, because it's not available on DVD in Australia. Anyway, so Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah,
Brand New Life?
I agree with what Eric said too. Like, I don't think I can have anything else to add. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I have seen it. Solid movie.
Great. All right. Your number 11.
I think what you guys said, I think it was Eric that said it earlier. Welcome to Dongmakgol.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So it's my number 11. Just to really, briefly recap, it takes place during the Korean War. There's a village called Dongmakgol. Doesn't even know the Korean War is going on during the time. And there's like an American pilot, some Korean soldiers, and some South Korean soldiers that all get stranded in the forest. And then they meet this like kind of silly, whimsical girl that just makes just really just out there, right? You really think she's like on drugs or something, right? But then she's just innocent. And then she leads all these 6 people, I think 5 or 6 people, back to her village, right? But as you guys can imagine, the American North and South Korean soldiers are all in the standoff trying to we trust each other. Like, we got to kill you, right? But, through living through this village and, getting to know one another, they actually form a friendship. It's a really cool story.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add. I agree.
Yeah. It's very it doesn't take itself too, I think what Eric said too, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It has major themes like war and the division between North and South Korea. But it doesn't take itself too seriously. I really like that.
Cool. Eric, you're right there?
Yeah.
You got the frog in your throat.
Yeah, it's the drywall that's been ripping up in my living room.
All the dust and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 11 is a Bong Joon-ho film. One of a few that are in my... Not all of them, but a lot of his films... Well, a few of his films are coming up. This is Mother. A movie about an... Oh, I don't really want to say elderly, but probably a woman in her like mid-60s, maybe. Yeah, who's got a teenage son, and her teenage son is framed for this murder, and it's all about her trying to save her son. And it's one of very few films that stars Won Bin, a guy that I miss incredibly because he's a fantastic actor and he hasn't made a movie in 7 or 8 years, which is a real shame. He is excellent in this movie. What can I say? It's Bong Joon-ho. It's great. It's such a good film. Eric, Mother?
It's not on my list, but it definitely could have been included. It's one of those. I think there's a few really memorable scenes in this one too, especially near the end. I was like, wow, that's a pretty dedicated mother. So yeah, it's very very high quality stuff. So I'm not surprised that it's on your list.
Yeah, Jason?
I actually have not seen this movie.
I haven't seen Mother.
I have to. I just looked it up. Yeah, sorry to disappoint.
You're losing some street cred, my friend.
I am. I'm losing a lot, man. It's a tough life, man.
That's all right.
It's okay.
So let's get into our top 10.
Let's do it.
All right. Eric, number 10 of the top 20 South Korean films from 2000 to 2009.
This is a horror film that I recommend a lot to people. It's called Spider Forest from 2004. And it's directed by Il Gong Song, who also directed Magicians, that was on my list. And it's about this guy who gets into a car accident and his memory's fractured. That's the basic premise of it. And this is like, I always say that this like out-lynches David Lynch because it has like that surreal nature to it and it has a really high quality to it. And it's one of those films where I watch this thing like 4 or 5 times and I'm still not exactly sure what happened. So it's really mind-bending stuff, but it makes you think because it's hard to describe the storytelling structure, but it's almost like certain scenes fall in on each other and you have like process of elimination going on, but it's hard to describe. But it definitely has a lot of atmosphere, great performances. I definitely recommend it.
I remember reviewing Spider Forest and I can't remember what I said in the review at all. I don't know if you guys have that as well when you review a movie and then you haven't watched it in 12 months or 2 years and you can't remember what you said in your original review. But I remember liking this film. Is this the one that has the scene where there's this cabin and the guy is going to the cabin and then you don't know whose perspective it's from or something?
Correct.
That's it. Okay. Good. Yes, that's the movie. It is a mind fuck, that movie.
It is.
It definitely screwed up your mind.
Yeah. I can't really... I remember bits... Like, I'm remembering now. Does that also have a scene in, like, a tunnel?
Yes. Orange lighting in the tunnel.
That's right. That's it. I need to watch this again. I've got it on DVD, but the DVD's in Brisbane. I need to watch it again. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm getting all these scenes in my head, and I'm like, that's that movie. Yeah. Jason?
I do remember watching this movie. I rented it years and years ago from a Korean video store, right? You know, I'm looking through like horror movies, and I'm like, Spider Forest, right? So I pop it in, and it totally screws with your mind. Like you said, it's been so long since I watched it. Like all I remember is I don't remember it, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. Like I remember it being good. I remember the acting being awesome, the environment, like the atmosphere being great. But if you told me like to give a breakdown on the movie, I'd be like,
yeah,
I couldn't, right? But I do remember it being good.
Yeah,
I have to watch it again too.
Yeah, all I remember are snippets of scenes, and they're very memorable. Actually, like the way that visually the images I'm getting in my head, I'm like, wow, that's a really striking image. But anyway, that's just me being crazy. All right. So my number 10 is another film I reviewed recently, Castaway on the Moon. A really fun movie that's kind of sad as well. It's another one of those, I guess you could call it a romantic drama comedy about this guy who tries to kill himself and he doesn't succeed, and he washes up on this little island. It's the Han River, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's about his story of just being a castaway. He decides, I've had enough of the modern world, and he lives on this little island. And then there's this other story going on about this girl that has hikikomori. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a Japanese phenomenon that's kind of spreading now around the world. It's about people that just live in like a one bedroom, or not even a one bedroom, like a studio apartment, and they never leave. And it's about her, and she watches this guy on the island through this, she takes photos of him, and they start to communicate, and she thinks he's an alien. It's a really nice movie. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Eric, Castaway on the Moon?
It's higher on my list.
All right, we'll get to it later. Jason, is this even, did you mention this one?
Seen this. I'm gonna go check it out.
Okay, cool. All right, Eric, number 9.
All right.
Oh.
So, or is it Jason's turn?
Oh, I think it's like number 10 still, right?
I think we may have skipped him.
Did we
Yeah,
skip
I think you
you?
might have skipped me. I'm kind of a ninja.
Oh, sorry. Did we skip you at number 10? Sorry, man.
No, I can make something like Castaway. That's a good movie. Right?
Sorry, man. All right, number 10.
No
Why did I
worries.
skip you then? I'm off.
No, it's okay.
You know what it
Okay,
was? It was Spider Forest.
Spider Forest, man. It got both of us in that cabin in the tunnel. My number 10 is Slimido.
Oh, nice.
I guess how you call it, like I guess it would be classified as a war movie.
Yeah, I would say
so
it's a war
basically, it's based on a true story called Unit 684 in 1968, and their whole mission was they're a North Korean commando group that was supposed to assassinate South Korean President Park Chung-hee, but they get caught right by the South Koreans, and they're about to get executed. But then one of the officials says, "Hey, wait a minute, why don't we turn them around into South Korean commandos and resend them into North Korea and kill, Kim Il-sung, like North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung, right?" So they go to this island called Slimido Island. That's what the movie's named for. And they train for 3 years to become trained assassins under South Korea to assassinate, Kim Il-sung. And it's a really gripping story too, because until the 1990s, this whole Unit 684 wasn't even announced to the Korean public. So when a lot of Koreans found out about this unit, they were pretty outraged and whatnot. And they were considered to be a terrorist group or just a bunch of vigilantes, but it was actually sponsored by the South Korean government as an a secret assassination group.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah,
I really like it. When I did a top 5 South Korean war films, and this was in there. I like movies that tell a true story as well. Yeah. And obviously, being a foreigner, I don't really know all that much about South Korean history. So if it can teach me something on top of being a fantastic film, then I'm all in. I highly recommend this film. It's great. Eric?
I don't think I've seen this one. I think I'm getting it confused with a different movie that has a similar type of premise, but I don't think I've seen this one.
Okay. That's a first.
Okay. Oh, Eric. Whoa. Wow. Pick a mainstream movie for Eric not to see. Yes. Because if I name some random movie like Tree Stump, he's like, I've seen Tree Stump. It's not as good as Forest Stump.
Actually, that movie was called Treeless Mountain, by the way.
Oh, was it? Okay. I would believe anything you say about Asian cinema. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
All right. So, number 9, Eric.
All right. Ji-woon Kim time. And it's the good, the bad, the weird.
Nice.
So, all-star cast, obviously, in this. what I would like to say on this one is that, man, right from the first like 10 minutes of this movie, you know that the direction is going to be unbelievable. Just the camera work in this film alone is just phenomenal. And yeah, I would agree that it's probably a little bit on the long side. The other scene that I freaking love was that the big finale at the end when all the armies get together, and people are on horses and all this crazy stuff going on. So, yeah, that this movie came out the same year as Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I remember that because I'm like, wow, this is like everything Indiana Jones really should have been, but it wasn't. You know,
Part-time. You guys don't get the reference.
I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
I didn't catch it either.
Part-time.
Part-time?
No, don't worry. It's in the trailer for Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, there's a clip of Harrison Ford saying part-time. It's something like, you're an archaeologist? And he's like, part-time. And then the clip in the film is a different cut, and it's modern day Harrison Ford where he doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, part-time.
Interesting.
I just want to fly my plane.
And crash it.
Yeah, and do that as well. All right, Jason, number 9.
All right, let's go with Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. First in the trilogy. I'm pretty sure you two are very well versed in this. Has Song Kang-ho, Bae Doona, and Shin Ha-kyung. Very all-star cast. Basically, the movie is a recently laid off factory worker is working for the money so he can get his sister a missing, like an extra kidney, like a kidney, right? But he finds out from the doctor that it costs like so much, right? It's like so expensive. So he has this plan to kidnap like a how do I say it? Boss's friend's daughter, best friend's like former boss's daughter, right? Friend's daughter, and hold her for ransom for money. And the story spirals out from there.
It's on my list, of course. It's not too far away, so I'll let you guys know what I think of it soon.
Okay, I thought it would be on your list as well. That's why I kept it short.
Yeah, no worries. Eric?
Very impressive film. I decided to put Lady Vengeance on my list instead of it. But I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. The other thing about this director is his use of sex scenes. Because the first time I saw this movie, they kind of put me off. And I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? But
the guy's jerking off?
Well, yeah, but like when I watched it again and I realized what was happening during these scenes, I'm like, wait a second. What's actually happening here is actually kind of interesting when you look at like what he's trying to say during those scenes. So again, this director is someone who I think was vital early on in my Asian cinema career and making me realize that sex scenes can really serve a purpose in a movie and not just be, throwaway, gratuitous nonsense.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. My number 9 is a movie we've already spoken about, and that's A Bittersweet Life. A great gangster film, fantastic performances. Again, it's Kim Ji-woon, so what more can be said? If you haven't seen A Bittersweet Life, you need to. It's one of Lee Byung-hun's best performances. I think I like him as an actor. I don't know about what he gets up to in his personal life. Might be a little bit fishy there. I don't like that he's tried to make it in the United States. Because he's just been given absolute crappy. What was it? Was it G.I. Joe 2 or something?
Yeah, G.I. Joe, yeah.
Red 2, Magnificent 7, Terminator, is it Genesis? Just crap. Just, I don't understand. I really don't get it. I would like to know, like, obviously everyone wants to make it in Hollywood, but he's arguably one of the biggest South Korean stars. He's huge. So I don't understand why you would give up big roles in South Korean movies to take these shitty roles in shitty American movies. I really don't understand that. I would like to know. But yeah, anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent. That's my number 9, A Bittersweet Life. Okay, number 8, Eric.
All right, this is a movie that I really, really love. It's very special to me, and it's a musical. It's
That's all right.
called Midnight Ballad for Ghost Theater from 2006. It's a comedy horror musical, and it stars Kopi Kim, who was in Breathless and The Liar, and it's about a girl who visits. She's basically looking for her grandmother, and her grandmother says, "Oh, I'm going to go see a movie." And your grandmother doesn't come back or something. So she goes and tries to find her. And this movie theater is a real like dilapidated old school theater where the attendants during the day have like performances at night as ghosts. So they're ghosts that kind of it's kind of an odd setup, but I think it's really an extremely charming film. It's got some great musical numbers to it that actually build character instead of feeling random. It's got a lot of like atmosphere to it with like the spooky type of old school theater environment. It has multiple references to like classic horror cinema, which I thought was neat. And it's kind of weird too. So I also own the soundtrack, which is really good. So yeah, I recommend this one.
Has this got like a Rocky Horror Picture Show vibe?
It's way better than that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I need to watch this. I
need
like
to watch
you don't like Rocky Horror?
No.
Oh, okay. I like.
I need to
Rocky
watch
Horror.
it too.
I need to watch this.
Yeah.
It sounds great. And you're
What's
telling
the
me
title of
you're
it?
telling me it's better than Rocky Horror.
Well, if you like, I won't say that. I don't want you to go in with those expectations.
No, but I can't really think of too many other horror inspired musicals. Yeah. I'm guessing you haven't seen this either, Jason?
I have. What's the title of it called? I have not.
Midnight Ballad for Ghost Theater.
Oh my god. How do I translate this to Korean? Oh my god. Okay, let me look this. All right.
You can look it up on Asian Wiki, I'm sure. They'd have the Korean in there.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Because I'm here like, how do I translate this? Right. Eric
right.
in his movies. Okay. All right. Sorry.
You're all right. Number 8 for you, Jason.
Number 8 is Joint Security Area, or JSA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 2000 movie. Basically, what happens is on the DMZ, investigators find 2 dead North Korean soldiers. And as you guys can imagine, the North and South are about to go to war over this. So at the very last minute, they bring a special unit from Switzerland, a neutral party. And the main, how do I say, like investigator is Major Sophie Jean. And she's like a Korean, like a Swiss Korean, right? And she has to find out like what's going on. And then when she investigates like the whole like crime scene, she finds out there's a lot of inconsistencies, as well as when talking to like the surviving victims or survivors. And she has to piece and find the truth before the North and South Korean like delegations like lose patience and like expel her from the country and from the case.
Yep. Eric?
Excellent movie. It's not on my list, but it could have been, definitely. It's not even a last sequence. The last shot is just unbelievable. It's great. Hit me real hard. So yeah, great cast too.
Yeah, this is a fantastic movie. And again, I almost put it on my list, but how many Park Chan-wook films can you put on a list?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Like,
it's true.
The entire filmography?
You probably could. Yeah.
You could. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, my next one is going to be a little bit controversial.
Like it.
I know. I reviewed this movie recently. And when I say I reviewed it, I mean I didn't really review it. It's Old Boy at number 8.
Oh, yeah.
Old Boy is responsible for getting a lot of people interested in South Korean cinema. And it was one of the very first South Korean films I saw before I got into South Korean cinema, though. It came out in 2003, so... Wow, oh God, you're making me do math. Maybe 19, 20 probably I would have been. So... let's look at it that way. I watched it because everybody was talking about it. And then I didn't watch another South Korean film for a few years after that. So it didn't really get me into South Korean movies, but it definitely put them on my radar. I think it's an incredible movie, but it's not my favorite from this period. I have sympathy for Mr. Vengeance on this list as well. And just my personal preference is I like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance more. And I don't know, it's Old Boy. It's great. But
what do you say?
What do you say about it? Exactly. So is Old Boy on your list? That's what I want to know. Jason?
It is. It's a little bit higher. I had this hard thing to decision whether I liked Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance or Old Boy better. And in fact, if you actually argued with me the other way and said, Sympathy is better, I would have said, yeah, sure. Because I actually like some of the aspects in Sympathy better than Old Boy. And some of the stuff in Old Boy better than Sympathy. But I can see it. I see them both as really good films. I just want to add, it's one of the, I would say 2 or 3 gateway films to South Korea. Right. And the other one is on my list too, at least for my opinion. The other quote unquote gateway movie is a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. What can you say about Old Boy? Just don't watch the US version. Enjoy that one as much.
Yeah. Eric, is Old Boy on your list?
It's higher on my list.
Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah.
All right.
What can you do?
It's kind of hard. All right. So we're back to you, Eric, then. Number 7.
Going with The Chaser from 2008.
Nice.
Hong Jin-na. Some great cast here. So this guy, he's a pimp. His prostitutes start going missing, and he realizes that the same customer's involved with these girls. So he decides to investigate what's going on, and it turns out that this guy's a real nasty killer. And just a really high-quality film on all levels. I rewatched this a few weeks ago, and it totally holds up. This is really paced well, too. There's really not a lot of wasted time in this movie. The story and the conflict progresses a little bit differently than I think what I assumed, at least in terms of, where our antagonist is most of the film. And, a lot of intensity. It gets pretty violent. Just be wary to those out there. This gets pretty violent. And, I very, very much enjoy this.
I love The Chaser, and it's higher up on my list, so I'll wait. Jason?
I'll wait as well. It's higher on my list as well.
Okay, cool. So you're number 7.
Number 7, I'm going to go with 3 Iron. 3 Iron. 3 Iron, 2004 movie. How do you want to describe this movie? It's like a drama, but it's basically about this, I don't want to say thief. It's like a homeless man that breaks into people's houses when they're on vacation. Not to steal, but just to use their bed and sleep, right? Because, he doesn't really have a home, right? So one day he breaks into this house, like this wealthy house, and he finds a housewife there. And then they soon fall in love. But, she's married, so that's going to cause some problems, right? So they carry this romance behind the woman's husband's back. But they eventually get caught, and then things happen from there. Yeah.
Another Kim Ki-duk film, and I almost put this on my list as well, but I left it off. Eric, 3 Iron?
Yeah, another one. I had to decide between this, Time, The Bow, and a few others. And, I settled with Time. But this one, I almost classify this as almost like a romance, too. And what was I going to say about? Oh, another thing about this guy is he does end up fixing certain things in these homes, too. So if he breaks into your house, he'll take a shower. But, if your clock is broken or something, he'll fix it. The complete, the lack of dialogue in this movie, when I first saw it, I was totally fascinated by it, and it worked. Yeah. And, really, really good movie.
Yeah, that can be said about most of Kim Ki-duk's films. There's hardly any dialogue.
Right.
So all the actors have to emote just using their body language, and he's just a great filmmaker. And he's not really that well received in South Korea, which was something I found out recently.
It's kind of weird. This movie too, like you guys touched on, I think 95% of the movie isn't spoken, right? Especially by the main protagonist, who's the guy that's breaks in, right? You can watch this movie on mute and probably get the story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, my number 7. So we just had Old Boy. Now we have Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. So when I said that I like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance more, it's really not that much more. I think it's like what Jason said earlier when you were saying, well, if you said to me, this is a better film, and it really depends. They're both very different, but they're both almost as good as each other. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, I like talking about characters that don't speak. The main character in this is a guy that's deaf and mute. And I think I enjoyed that. And I liked the dynamic, and I liked what Eric said about the sex stuff before. I like the characters in this more. I think they're a little bit more interesting. I think this has a powerful ending as well, just like Old Boy. The whole Vengeance trilogy is a great trilogy, in all honesty. And for those of you who haven't seen Lady Vengeance or Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, then you need to check those out as well. Don't just watch Old Boy and think, yeah, I've seen Korean cinema. That's enough for me. I've seen the big one that everybody raves on about. Watch the other films in the trilogy at least, and then kind of branch out a bit more. And that's what talking about Old Boy, that's something I do really respect it for, the fact that it did get so many people interested and involved in Korean cinema. But yeah, I don't think there's much more we can say about Sympathy for Mr.
I have something to say about this.
Yeah? Okay.
Anybody who says that Do Not Bae isn't attractive, watch this movie and tell me she's not hot.
Yeah.
Oh, Bae Doona. Oh God.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh man.
And what I like about, sorry to jump in, Jason.
No worries.
What I like about Bae Doona, we've talked about this whole plastic surgery thing, and Jason mentioned, 75% of Korean women have this. She's an actress that has managed her entire career to make successful films, in the United States with the Wachowskis. She was great in Cloud Atlas. I loved that movie. And she's also in Sense8, if you haven't seen that, another Wachowski thing. She hasn't had any work done. She's just living proof that it's all unnecessary. You just need to have talent, and she has tons of it. She's one of the greatest in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, so true.
Yeah. Awesome.
I've seen her, even in that movie, what's that called? Korea As One, the ping pong movie?
As One, yeah, I reviewed that recently.
It's called Korea in Korean, right? So I get mixed up all the time. But oh man, it had Ha Ji-won and Bae Doona. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do, right? I'm like, it's kind of overloaded for me. Oh my God, that was hot. That was I didn't care which team won, to be honest, right? You're a winner no matter who wins the ping pong tournament, right? I'm like, yes. Yeah, good times.
Nice.
Doona. Ha Ji-won. Ooh.
All right, settle down.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I get pretty uppity when when we were at number 7 or 6.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Okay, so yes, number 6 from Eric.
All right, got to break up this sausage fest here. We got a horror movie, and I think it's very underappreciated, and that is Whispering Corridors 4: Voice from 2005, starring Ok Kim, and this is one where you actually have a protagonist who dies during the opening scene of the film and is a ghost for the remaining film. Now, this movie, I just really think is really complex. I actually wrote up. I'm probably gonna have to read it off on a video on my channel sometime. A 7-page interpretation analysis over how they structure what happens to a ghost. How does the ghost lose its voice and dissipate from existence? What's the relationship between those things? And all the different things that happen in this movie. I think it's very complex and interesting, thought-provoking, good performances, not especially terrifying. I think it's more of a really interesting horror film than a terrifying one. So yeah, I really like this one, mostly for its complexity and nuance.
Do you think this film suffers by having the Whispering Corridors name attached to it?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Being number 4, can you watch this without having seen any of the other films?
Oh yeah.
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 I haven't seen it. I'm just curious because if it's number 4 in a series, whether it's a complete standalone thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Jason, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I've seen all 4. I like this movie a lot too. It's one of my more favorite, how do I say, Korean horror movies. I liked 3 as well, but like you said, though, Corey, like I actually wondered that too, whether it would be better if they didn't have the Whispering Corridor like title. But I guess it gives it brand name too. Like there's 4 of them, right? Like, you know, it's part of a group. Go watch them all, right? But if the 4th one, in my opinion, and maybe Eric's opinion, is the strongest one, do you wait till the 4th one to watch it, or do you skip to the 4th one? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I guess I just watched them in order just because. But if somebody told me in advance the 4th one's the best, I still think I would wait. I would just watch them in order just to see the progression of the series, you know. But you can watch them in any order, you know.
Right. I did the same thing you did. I watched them in order, right? And then I hit the 4th one. I'm like, yeah, really.
And they're all very different too. Like the second one's almost like an art house film, and you know what I mean. So it's a pretty cool series.
Right. I would say,
I've seen the first one, but it was a long time ago. And that's it. I need to watch all 4 of these.
all of them.
There was actually a 5th one that I did not like.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's a 5th one. Oh,
Yeah, Blood Pledge from 2009, I think.
oh, that's right. That was a 5th one. Blood Pledge.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one. I didn't know it was part of it. I didn't particularly like that one either too much.
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought there was just 4. Okay.
Cool. All right, Jason, number 6.
All right, number 6, we're switching places, Corey. Old Boy. It's mine's Old Boy. You know, I don't think I have to go over the story, basically, but I think I really like the movie. It made me really pay attention to Choi Min-sik, right? Who's the main actor, right? And he's been in all sorts of movies, like Lucy. There's so many movies, right? Roaring. You guys call it Roaring Currents?
It's called the Admiral here.
Right. Like, I mean, like after Old Boy, I followed Choi Min-sik's career a lot because he's one of my favorite actors. I got to meet him a couple years ago.
Oh, nice.
Really cool guy. Yeah, I really liked the Old Boy, the complexities. The ending made me go, oh my God, right? Like the whole, like the plot bombs in the movie were like, whoa, seriously? Right? I'm like, oh, wow. And like I said, like you said earlier, it pretty much introduced people like, you know, maybe 10 years, 15 years ago to like Korean cinema. Like, and just for that alone, like it was going to make my list. Old Boy, just for that, like, okay, you introduced so many of my friends, especially in college, to Korean cinema. Yeah. Like Old Boy, like what more that needs to be said.
Okay. Eric, you said it's higher up in your list, so we'll wait for a bit. Okay. My number 6 is a film that we've already spoken about, A Dirty Carnival. One of my favorite gangster films ever, period. I watched Goodfellas again recently. Goodfellas is probably my favorite gangster film of all time. I think A Dirty Carnival's a close second. I really like what they did with this film. I think Eric's right when you were saying that it is very by the numbers, and if they just did one little thing wrong, it could have went pear-shaped, but I think they just executed this flawlessly. And the director did Once Upon a Time in High School as well. I haven't seen that one. He did Gangnam Blues. I didn't mind Gangnam Blues. I kind of enjoyed that for what it was. I haven't rewatched it since I watched it in the cinema, but A Dirty Carnival, if you like gangster movies, then it's worth checking out. I put it at number 1 on my top 5 South Korean gangster films list. So tells you how much I like it. Guys, anything else you want to add for A Dirty Carnival? We've already kind of...
I should have added it on my list, on my top 20. Yeah.
All right, Eric, number 5. This is it, the top 5.
Be back, guys,
go, boys. Yeah. All right, Eric, number 5. Let's start with you.
All right, Juggernaut here, Castaway on the Moon.
Woohoo!
So, yep. Oh, and this is the one that made me recognize and notice Ryo Won Jung, the lead actress. She's fantastic in this.
Yeah.
And she's actually in some really good K-dramas, like TV series, but she's only done a handful of movies other than this, and they really weren't all that great, in my opinion. But
what other movies has she been in?
Oh, man. I want to see. Oh, man. I can't even remember.
They can't be that memorable then. She was really good in that movie. She is somebody that should be. Is she Australian actually?
Oh, that's the one you were talking about. Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah, she's from Brisbane.
That makes sense too, because when she speaks English, she has very good English.
Does she have an Australian accent? Or a slight Australian accent?
I don't know. Go watch My Lovely Sam Soon or whatever I think it was called. I think that was the first time I saw her, like a 2006 K-drama, and she spoke English in that. And I didn't really detect much of an accent. She had really good English skills, I think.
She might be doing one of those.
Yeah, she's from England. Yeah, she's from Australia.
Yeah, she's from Brisbane.
Yeah.
She like grew up like not far from where I grew up. It's like one of those things. Have you seen her in any interviews or anything, Jason?
I think I've seen her in one. Like her English is fluent.
Does she have a hint of an Australian accent at all, or none?
I can kind of tell, a little bit, yeah. Okay. She grew up in Australia.
Yeah, yeah. It makes sense. You would think she would have an Australian accent. Cool. We were just saying, so Erik's pick for number 5 is Castaway on the Moon.
Castaway, right. I was assuming it was Castaway, just based off that.
So we were just saying that we think that she should be a much bigger star from that performance.
I think, does she do more dramas now? Like, let me check.
Yeah, she did History of the Salaryman and The King of Dramas.
Yeah.
Those were two, I think those were decently popular. And they were very good.
Yeah, Jungwoo Won. She used to be part of a K-pop group too, actually.
What?
Yeah,
that's so surprising.
Like Chakra? Yeah, that's how I first know her.
From the K-pop
stuff. She's Jungwoo Won. Yeah. She is. Yeah, I think I see her more in dramas now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay. So your number 5 then, Jason.
The Chaser. Nice. I don't know what else to say about this movie. I think Erik went over it earlier. I would say like after I watched Old Boy and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance, I was like, okay, well, I don't think Korea's gonna have another really good, thriller movie for a while. And then The Tracer hits, and I'm like, okay, right, in 2008, right? And I mean, Na Hong Jin, the director, what can you say? This is I think this is his debut movie, I believe, that's his first
film. And then he made Yellow Sea, then The Wailing.
The Wailing, right? And oh man, like I don't know, like it had me on the edge of my seat when I was watching this. Like, that's all I can tell. I can say, like, I was like, wow, like it was really well done. Like Erik said, it didn't really have any fat in this movie. It was really well paced. The action scenes were great. The thrilling scenes made you like your heart beat. I can't recommend this movie anymore.
Yeah.
The Chaser.
Excellent.
The Chaser.
It's on my list as well, but we'll get to it soon. My number 5 is The Host. One that Jason had higher up. Well, earlier. What did you have The Host at? It was like
19. Yeah. 19. Sorry.
That's all right. I got The Host higher because this is the film that really started my love of South Korean cinema. So I remember watching The Host and going, wow, where have these movies been all my life? And that's where it just spiraled out of control from there. I went through Bong Joon-ho's filmography, and then from that I watched other things, but I really liked the cast of The Host. That's like an all-star cast as well.
Yeah.
Park Hae-il is in there. He turns up. It's just such a great cast. I liked the special effects in this as well. I like creature films. I talked about Chore earlier.
Chore.
Yeah. But The Host is a better made. It's a completely different type of monster movie. Chore is a typical B-grade one where The Host, the monster is, again, it's symbolic of what happened with it was based on a true story with the whole people I think, of the US dumping illegal stuff, right? So there was that. There's a lot of social commentary as well. I think the creature was designed by Weta Workshop, Peter Jackson's company. I think Weta designed the creature. I don't know if they did the effects work. I think it might have been a South Korean company, but I think the whole original development came from Weta. If you look at, I think I could be wrong, but yeah, The Host, fantastic movie, the best Bong Joon-ho movie with a giant animated creature in it. That's for sure. Yeah, you guys have anything else that you want to say about The Host?
Well, I just want, it didn't make my list, but it's excellent. I had to make room for Okja on my list. Oh no, that's in the wrong decade, so I couldn't include it. But that's all right. Yeah, very good movie. The Host.
Can I just say, we've been doing these lists recently, and every year I've been doing I started doing top 5 best Korean films of whatever year, and last year I did a top 10. And this year, I'm hoping to do another top 10 South Korean films of 2017 at the end of the year or early next year. I don't think I'm going to be able to do one. I think I'm going to go on record here. I think this is one of the worst years for South Korean cinema in a long time. I can see myself being able to make a top 10 worst South Korean films of 2017. I think I might have 4 or 5 films in that list already. Fabricated City might be number 1, just to spoil it.
Wow.
But yeah, I agree. This year's been terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I always feel like I can't assess until like years later, because it always takes me forever to catch up. Like I just saw a movie called The Liar from 2014 with Kopi Kim that I thought was really interesting. And that just came out on DVD, I think, like, I don't know, in the past few months. But yeah, I can't offer an assessment on 2017 because I've barely seen anything.
It's been pretty bad, man.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like the movie showings, when I go to the movie theaters, I'm like, yeah. There's been
a few really bad films, like really bad. Fabricated City, The King's Case Note. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And then there's all these The Merciless, which was just forgettable, generic. The Prison, again, just rehashes of stuff we've seen a million times. There haven't really been that many standouts, to be honest, which is a real shame. I think last year we were really spoiled when it came to South Korean cinema, and this year maybe they've gone, no, we'll give them some shit this year.
Like the one I can name for 2017 that's the best so far is probably The Villainous. Like,
yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, like other than that, maybe like 1 or 2 handful of movies. Like,
yeah, I know. All right, so we're down to number 4 with Eric. Back to you.
All right, this is my Joon-ho Bong selection, Memories of Murder. Nice. Memories of Murder from 2003. Again, this is the one about a serial killer who terrorizes a community, and these detectives try to figure out the case. I actually had no knowledge of this case when I watched the film, and I think it might benefit viewers if they didn't, because you're not sure what's going to happen at the end if that's the case. You know what I mean? And the end kind of surprised me. I'm like, really? So, excellent movie. I think has a nice, I like how the humor is kind of front loaded to give some color to the characters. And then as the movie progresses, these characters have fantastic arcs. Like what you end up with at the end of the movie for each character is like different than how you start the movie, because this whole case impacts them so much. And some great chase sequences in this one too. And it's even a little creepy in spots. A lot of social commentary in this too. Some of which is probably subtle and will go over people's heads if they don't read up on it, if they're not familiar. So yeah, Memories of Murder, great film.
I can't say anymore. It's on my list as well. I'll wait.
It's on my list as well.
Okay, cool. All right, Jason, number 4.
Number 4. My opinion, I would say the best Korean horror movie, A Tale of Two Sisters, makes me number 4. I feel a lot of people that watch this movie, like, it has so much symbolism that I don't think a lot of people get it the first time they watch it, even though they go, oh, well, it's simple. I'm like, really? Like, because there's a lot of stuff that you might think it's like random when you watch it, right? But then when you watch it, when you actually think about it a second or third time after watching it, then you go, oh, that's why that particular scene is there, or why that person acts this way. And basically the premise of the movie is that there's a girl, I think her name is Sumi. She checks herself out of a mental institute, and she goes home with her sister and her dad back to her countryside home. But she finds out this like home, and this home has like haunted ghosts, and it's pretty haunted, right? Like crazy things are going in there. And then when the stepmother shows up, like even crazier things go on. And the sisters hate the stepmom too. So there's that tension in between like like some ghost haunting the house. So there's a lot of tension in the house, and you just see like oogles amounts of like symbolism like throughout the movie. And then you see like with the cinematography and the use of colors as well, especially green and red, the movie does a really good job just like on noticing like the little details. And the movie is more, I would say, creepy than like, shock horror or like Japanese horror, as I'd say, but it gets it done really well, and it's interwoven within a really good story.
Eric, Tale of Two Sisters.
Higher on my list.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't put this on my list. I wish I could find a spot for it. Part of me didn't put it on my list because I thought that one of you guys probably would, and we could talk about it there.
No. Oh, use extra slot. Like your extra slots. Nice.
And the other reason was I didn't want to overload this with the same directors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. I get it.
So that was, I kind of like went through and went, well, which films of his do I like the most? I still think it's a fantastic film, but I like The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, and I like Bittersweet Life better. So that's why it didn't make my list. But it's a fantastic horror movie. Excellent movie. All right, we're up to me. Number 4. One that we've spoken about, and that's The Chaser. You guys have already mentioned this movie. I don't know what more I can add other than this was loosely based on a true story as well. I really enjoyed it. I think the dynamic between the two leads is fantastic. I think they have great chemistry together. And then if you watch The Yellow Sea, which was the follow-up film, it's like a reversal in roles, and they're great. And apparently they're going to be in another film together next year. I found out the other day. Not by Na Hong Jin, unfortunately, but they're going to be in another movie together. But what can I say? The Chaser, one of the best thriller serial killer films ever made.
Yep.
In the world. It's great. Cool. So now we're at the top 3. Top 3 time. All right. You guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
All right. Eric, number 3.
Gonna lighten things up here.
All right.
This movie blew me away when I first saw it. My Sassy Girl, 2001, a romantic comedy.
I'm with you, Eric.
Yes. Ji-Hoon Jun, after this movie, I was a huge fan of her, and I've watched everything she's been in. So this one, it's a typical romantic comedy premise. You got like a college student. He befriends a girl who has some psychological problems, and mayhem ensues. I think the one thing that makes this film so special is it's more of a traditional romantic comedy. Some of the ones that I like are non-traditional. This is very traditional in its I don't know, I guess it's setup, but it has a lot of depth to it. And there's just a lot of content in this movie. This movie runs like 2 hours and like 15 plus minutes, like epic runtime for a rom-com, and it uses every minute to its advantage. Great character development, a lot of funny moments too. And this one it's a classic, and it's a must-watch.
I haven't seen it.
No way. You haven't seen this movie?
No.
Okay.
This is one of those movies that people ask me to review all the time, and I haven't seen it. And I know that I just lost a lot of credibility. My Sassy Girl, I've said this a lot of times on my channel. Romantic comedies aren't really my thing. So unless people tell me, Corey, this is really good, but because you two guys really like it, and so many people have asked me to watch it, then I'll probably watch it soon. But I would rather watch an action movie or a thriller movie or a drama than romantic comedies. It's just not my thing. But not to say that I hate them or anything. Like, I just, if I get to choose between one or the other. All right.
No worries.
So Jason, number 3.
I'm with Eric. Eric, his indie movies have gotten the best of me for the past 18 picks or 17 picks, but My Sassy Girl is number 3 as well.
Yeah.
My Sassy Girl is number 3. He already went over the plot. I'll just do some other stuff and say that I really like the theme of this movie. It's not just like a a straightforward romance. There's a lot of other themes like time travel, like loss, love, like going back. Time travel. Like reminiscing about the past. And the girl's not like, how do you say, like a stereotypical girl, right? She actually has like dreams and whatnot. And it's really cool. And I just really appreciate Kwak Jae-young's presentation. Like, it has a lot of genres, like maybe Save the Green Planet, right? But it pulls it off so well. And what Eric said too, this movie runs 2 hours and 15, 20 minutes. It's divided into 3 acts, like Act 1, Act 2, and overtime or overdrive.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Right. I'm like, what the heck? Overdrive? What? And I really just enjoyed this movie. And it's one of those flexible movies too, where you can take a date out to it and they'll like it. And then you can show a dude it and it's not totally over dramatic or cheesy. It's actually kind of funny, right? Just, the guy's kind of whipped, to be honest, right? Cha Tae-hyun, but I don't know. I know it's supposed to be a joke and supposed to be funny, right? And I would say is Cha Tae-hyun's as well as Jeon Ji-eun's breakout film, by far. After this movie, I know everyone has their Korean movie where they got into Korean cinema. This is my movie right here. It wasn't JSA. It was a year after. This movie's what made me get into Korean dramas and made me study Korean in university. I don't know. This movie, I owe a lot to this movie. Just don't see part 2, My Sassy Girl 2, which is called A New My Sassy Girl. Oh, please don't see it. It has Cha Tae-hyun takes his role as the guy again, but then the girl is Victoria from the K-pop group FX. It's just not good. Different director, different story. It doesn't have its charm.
This movie's been remade, right, in a bunch of other countries.
Yeah, there's China made this movie called My Sassy Girl 2. It's totally unauthorized, right? So they made My Sassy Girl 2 and it's not that good, right? And then Korea actually made an official version called The New My Sassy Girl, the new Karate Kid.
Oh god.
The New My Sassy Girl. And it's just terrible. You see, Cha Tae-hyun is there. Okay, they got one of the originals, but I kind of feel I love Cha Tae-hyun. I really like his other works too, but I kind of feel this was kind of a cash grab or something, or he didn't read the script. He's like, all right, I'm going in, right? Because it's just terrible. Ask Ray about it.
They drove a big truck of money up to his house.
Yeah. Oh my god. Kwak Jae-young was dude, what did you do to my classic? Right? And I don't know. It makes me mad talking about it. I'm getting riled up right now.
The Americans remade it too, and that movie stunk.
What was that?
Yeah,
My Sassy Girl, the American film.
Oh, it's actually called My Sassy Girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's in the American version?
Elisha Cuthbert and some other dude.
Elisha Cuthbert, Jesse. I forgot his name. Jesse something, right?
Yeah.
But I prefer the American version over the Korean version, My Sassy Girl 2,
and then
which came out in 2015.
And then the Japanese made a J-drama based on this that was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good.
Oh, it was?
I thought it was.
It was. Okay, Eric, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you on this. I'm gonna watch
It's different too.
Just don't watch the Korean one called the New My Sassy Girl or My Sassy Girl 2.
Okay.
You'll thank me later, hospital bills and whatnot. Yeah, you don't want to go to the hospital.
Is there a Bollywood version? Of course,
I'm sure that one is better.
Of course,
I'm sure that one is better.
I'm sure it's not.
Okay,
that's up your alley. I don't get involved with that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure if there is a Bollywood version, I'm sure it's all official, just like the Chinese one. All right, number 3 for me is another Kim Ki-duk film, Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring.
Yeah.
One Jason spoke about earlier. I watched this movie recently. Again, it was streaming, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch this. I loved it. It was a very simple movie, not much dialogue. Talks about the life. It's like the circle of life. It's the circle of life. You know, from this young boy to a grown man. And it's told in segments, and each segment is a different part of this guy's life. And it's beautifully shot. It all takes place in the one location, but obviously different time periods. I don't know which particular part of this guy's life that I enjoyed more than the other. It's a really, really good movie. It's beautifully shot as well. Where it's set on this lake with this temple in the middle of the lake. When he's a little kid, he learns about death. And then when he's a young man, I don't know, he's probably in his late teens, he starts getting tempted by women, and this particular young woman that comes to the temple. I don't know. It's great, and it has a cat in it, so I like it. And I thought it was cool how they used the cat's tail to do the calligraphy. So, yeah, definitely worth checking out. You guys have anything more you want to say about spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring?
Should have been ranked higher in my list. It was really good.
Okay.
I think my favorite segment was his childhood segment, especially the part with the frog.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so number 2.
Number 2.
Eric.
Going with Old Boy.
All right.
So, everybody knows what this movie's about. It's amazing. I haven't watched it in a little while, though. I got to rewatch it again. I don't know what else I could say about this, really. I mean, one thing I'll tell you, I didn't even know it was Korean when I first rented it at Blockbuster. It was right at the beginning of like my Asian movie hobby, so that was pretty interesting. So yeah, this is definitely a great gateway film. It's great.
Cool. Yep, I think everything that's been said about Old Boy has been said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jason, you're number 2.
My number 2, Memories of Murder. Memories of Murder. I think you guys already talked about it a bit. I think I'll agree with Eric. If you don't know the case, it's probably better. Because I have the case notes right here. So I'll skip over that. I do think it has a lot to do with this movie has some pointed, how do I say, like commentary towards like the Korean government and the police. Because the two cops are pretty much like incompetent and kind of bumbling. Like they're just doing stuff off the cuff. And when they just force confessions and beat people, right? That's basically what they do, right? So I felt this movie, I was reading this article, this Korean article where like, yeah, people were saying this. It's like a total social commentary on the police back in the 2000s, right? Like how they could do their job better, due process, and just not beat confessions out of people, right? So it portrays that really well from what the Korean bloggers say, and I really enjoyed it too. Like it's based on a true story, like Eric said. Has you on the edge of your seat, like The Chaser and Old Boy. I don't know what else to say. Like it's probably regarded as probably one of the top 3 Korean movies in this decade by a lot of people.
Yeah. Cool. All right. My number 2 is Brotherhood of War.
Yeah.
Taegukgi, I think, in Korean. So this movie stars Won Bin, and is it? Sorry, I need to look at my notes. It's Jang Dong-gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the guy from The Warrior's Way, wasn't he?
I
think he was in Warrior's Way, that terrible film that was made in New Zealand. So this movie is about these 2 brothers. The war is happening, and a younger brother gets enlisted, gets conscripted, and then the older brother takes it on himself to look after the younger brother, and he wants to be in the same platoon. Their story of fighting in the war. It's got some fantastic action sequences. It's up there with, a lot of people say Saving Private Ryan's like the greatest war movie, but I actually have a few issues with Saving Private Ryan. I don't think it is the greatest war movie. I do think it's one of the best, but it suffers from a little bit too much Spielberg, in my opinion, with the cliched characters and the way it's bookended is a little bit on the nose for me. But I really like Brotherhood of War. I like everything about it. I think it's a fantastically made film. It's very impressive on a technical level as well. All the sequences that involve all the armies fighting each other, the performances by the two brothers are great. I don't want to say too much about it because I might get into spoilers, but there are some character arcs in here that are very interesting, to say the least. Guys, thoughts on Brotherhood of War? Let's start with you, Jason.
It's my number 1 film.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Spoiler alert.
I'm just saying, yeah.
All right. Eric, do you want to say anything? It's not your number 1 as well, is it?
No. It could have made my list, though. I definitely looked at it. Yeah, the action scenes in this are just phenomenal. I really liked some of the dramatic stuff later on. And also the lead actress in this was a pretty talented lady. I forgot her name, but she took her own life in the mid 2000s at some point.
Really?
But yeah, so this is one of her better movies, I would say. But yeah, this is a good one.
Okay, cool. Well, Jason, considering we know this is your number 1,
Yeah.
how about we start with you for number 1? Your thoughts on...
Yeah, so take a key to Brotherhood of War, like what you mentioned earlier, to get dragged into war. I'll just touch up a little bit. I think this movie has a lot of themes going for it, and it's not just, communism versus capitalism. In fact, it has a realistic view of the Korean War, what I would say. Like, people didn't care about that, communism and capitalism. They're just fighting to, like, survive, They're fighting for food, right? And there's just a lot of realism, and I think a lot of people can relate to this movie. Like the two big stars, Dong Jang-gun and Won Bin. Won Bin did an incredible job, as well as Jang-gun as well. It's just really well done. Like, it really does center around the brothers and their struggle through the Korean War and how to get through it. And they don't really care about all these ideologies being tossed around. Like the war happening between North and South Korea, or like the USSR and the USA. It was just really, like, touching, like a lot of story arcs, like you said earlier. I'm not going to get into it as well, right? The war scenes are very grimy, gritty, like very how do I say, gory, things just happen in war, as you know, like war is hell. This is what the movie was like, a lot like the movies points out as well, right? War is hell. It also has Choi Min-sik as like the North Korean leader.
Yeah,
I believe.
It's like a cameo.
Because I was like, wait a minute, is that Choi Min-sik getting shot? I'm like, no, right? I'm like, no, he's Choi Min-sik. Didn't you see him in Roaring Currents? Even though it came out like years later, right? But yeah, like it had an all-studded cast, the environment, the action scenes, the war scenes, like everything was just really good, and it made me appreciate the movie more when I watched like the behind the scenes. Like, I guess, like, if you buy the DVD, there's like a behind the scenes where like they go through everything, right? Like the whole like war making, like Won Bin, what he thinks, like Dong Jang-gun, the director. And like you said too, like you were saying, like, they'll compare this to the Korean Saving Private Ryan, and I get the analogies. I would watch both of them if you like war movies or just like a touching story. I do think this movie is really underrated. As much as it's sold a lot in Korea, I feel to foreign fans of Korean cinema, it's pretty underrated still. Like, people will name Old Boy or The Chaser, or now, like, newer hits like The Wailing and the Handmaiden. But I think Take a Key gets lost in that a lot. And I think it's just like a masterpiece of a war, not just of a war film, but just like of a family film, ironically, stuck in a war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Perfectly said. Awesome. All right. Eric, you're number 1.
Well, anyone who's seen my Asian horror playlist video from 2003 or my DVD collection video will know this isn't just my favorite South Korean movie of this year. This is like my favorite movie of all time. Just my favorite movie. And that's A Tale of Two Sisters.
Yep.
Wow.
So I think the first time I saw this was on like a Saturday afternoon, and about an hour in, I just said to myself, is anybody ever going to tell me what's going on in this movie? And then the movie ended, and I got maybe about 65 to 70% of it, and I said, screw it, and I just watched it again immediately after that. And this one just really, again, the level of complexity in this, I don't chuck around the term masterpiece much because I think it's overused, but if I had to choose one movie to drop that term on, it would be this one, just because it's such a, the level of complexity and difficulty they went for on making all of this work without screwing it up, and the fact that they nailed it in just about every aspect is really special. And actually, I watched the DVD special features, and they deleted like a dozen scenes from the final cut. If you left any one of those scenes in the movie, would have screwed something up. It's just unbelievable film. So yeah, that's my number one.
So is your other favorite film the US remake?
Oh, The Uninvited?
The Uninvited, yeah.
No.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. It's
Thoughts?
not good. I don't like that lead actress. I just find her to be obnoxious in almost everything. Elizabeth Banks.
Oh,
I don't.
Oh, is that her? Is she in that?
Yeah, Yeah,
I think she is. Yeah.
But
Is Emily Browning the other one, the Australian actress?
I think so.
I
Like
can't
the sister or
stand her.
something, right? Yeah.
It wasn't as embarrassing as like the Old Boy remake where it got cartoonish, but it just didn't have the same impact.
The Uninvited. Is it Elizabeth Banks? I'm just clicking. I need to know now. Sorry. Shit, you're right.
Yeah. It has the Australian actress too, right?
Yeah, Emily Browning. I don't understand the appeal of her, to be honest. I can say that about a lot of Australians.
Fair enough, man.
Are they still trying to make Jai Courtney a thing and Sam Worthington, or have they given up now?
Oh no, Jai Courtney was just in Suicide Squad, so they'll try to get him. And Sam Worthington has like 5 or 6 Avatar movies if he's still in those coming up.
Well, if James Cameron, no, I was going to say if James Cameron knows what's best for him, he'll get rid of him. He's not really he's not well respected here. I'll just say
So I
that.
see.
Can I tell you something funny? I was walking because I live in Melbourne now. Walking through the city the other day, there's this big poster on one of the theaters, Hamlet, or is it Hamlet or Macbeth? I can't remember. I think it might be Macbeth. Macbeth, starring Jai Courtney.
What?
Yep, not joking. He's starring in like a theater production here in Melbourne. Macbeth, playing Macbeth.
Fair enough.
I think Lenny likes him. He just woke up.
Oh, did he? Part of me wants to watch it just to. I'm kind of amazed that somebody thought that Jai Courtney would be able to pull off Macbeth, but we shall see. My number one film is pretty obvious, I guess. Memories of Murder is my favorite South Korean film of this period, one of my favorite movies of all time. Like Eric was saying with A Tale of Two Sisters, I think this is a masterpiece. I can't fault this movie. Again, it's based on a true story, and I will reiterate what you guys have said. Do not look at the true story before you watch this. Just watch the movie. Fantastic performances by everyone. The 2 leads are great. Directing's amazing. One thing about Bong Joon-ho is all of his films are very different. Up until Okja, I would say they were all of a very high quality, or maybe up until Snowpiercer. I still enjoy Snowpiercer, but Memories of Murder, just a great movie. Good fly kicks in this as well. There's a lot of fly kicking.
Yeah.
If you want to see some really cool fly kicks and people putting themselves in danger, then totally watch it. I need to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a few years. I've been thinking recently that I should do like a reviews of Bong Joon-ho's back catalog, but I might get to that at some stage. But yeah, that's it. Cool. It's only like
final shot of that movie too is just unbelievable. Just like JSA, just the final shot, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it sticks with you, really does. Cool. Well, that's it, guys. We're done. Do you guys want to give a shout out, Jason? Thanks for joining me.
Oh, no problem.
Do you want to give a shout out to Asian Filmist?
Yeah, just if you guys want to learn more about Asian films, my partner in crime, Ray, who lives in Japan, and myself, who lives in Seoul, we do Asian films. In this voice, too. Yeah. Yeah, Asian filmists. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put links in the description as usual. Eric, your turn.
Yeah, I'm the Asian movie enthusiast on YouTube. I've been doing a lot of single movie reviews lately, and I try to pick some out of my DVD library lately and rewatch them and review them. So there should be a lot of interesting stuff coming your way.
Yeah, you've been doing a few Hong Kong movies recently, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get through my Netflix list at the moment. Well, I did that last week, and this week I've got a few things planned. But I've got to film a review. I'm not going to do it tonight for the Patreon. I might do it tomorrow morning. But I'm for Patreon month, every month I'm trying to do like a theme for my Patreon. Oh. And this month is Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
So, I know. But unfortunately, I watched Flashpoint this morning.
Oh, I like that one.
Do you? Have you watched it recently?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Final fight's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, that's all I can say about the movie. The final fight's awesome. The rest of the movie's just garbage. But anyway, there's my review. Flashpoint. Final fight's great. The rest of the film's garbage. All right. We'll do this again very soon, guys.
Of course.
Maybe in a month or so. But thanks everybody that's watching this live. Appreciate it. Thanks to you watching it after we've done this. I know it's at varying times. You guys might notice my lighting has changed. That's because it's pitch black outside now. It's 5:42 in Australia. What's the time in Korea?
We're just an hour behind you, so it's 4:41.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Eric, do I even want to know what time it is there?
3:41 a.m., baby.
Oh man.
Oh, are you East Coast, Eric?
Yeah. I'm gonna just watch. You know what? I might watch Flashpoint right now and just fire it up.
You do. Well, it's only like 87 minutes long, so cool. All right, thanks everyone for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on a top 20 list from this period. But yeah, see you guys.
Thanks, guys.